Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And this evening we have plenty to talk about with questions to ask you. Do you want Tottenham to keep hiring win-at-all-cost managers with trophies on their CV? Or do you want Tottenham to go back to hiring managers that play an attacking brand of football that Tottenham have been known for? If Paratici does end up losing his job with everything that's going on, has he left his squad in a better place than the one he inherited, than the one he found? So, and also a lot on Harry Kane and his future. We have rolled out a very good panel for you this evening. We do have the return of Jacko. Jacko, how are you, my man?
Doing well, Dave. Recovering from a lost voice because I met a one and only Phil P. And Phil P decided to hand me a pillow after that night, Wednesday night, and I screamed right into that pillow. And so the voice box is still kind of repairing itself. Also from screaming at Richie, screaming at Moon Boots, to have less time than he really thought he did on the ball, all that sort of kind of good stuff. But Dave, I'm back to the grindstone, back to answer some of those difficult questions that you thought of earlier. But also, I do like, defending Paratici's legacy, just in case he ever were to go. I do need to have my sort of speech and my rant prepared on him, but also it's kind of good to be back in the host chair as well, to kind of be wheeling and dealing, the questions as per usual. But we got Mr. Box Office, who actually was kind enough to let me kind of scream my lungs out in his ear on the Saturday game. And we're joined by Phil P, the one and only Phil Army.
Oh, it's great to have you back, Jacko. Absolutely great to have you back in the hot seat, my man. Of course, we are joined by Mr. Box Office. Alex, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm good. Mr. Professor Truth and Entertainment has to come into the building again and, speak his truth. Not too much truth, because everybody knows what I feel about a lot of things, so it's not really that much. I think it's more with Phil needs to it's Phil's time to shine right now because it's his debut today. So let's all support him today, and that's it. But I'll maybe take a back seat more today, but that's it really.
Well, somehow I feel you've already gone back on the Professor of Truth by lying that you're going to take a back seat, but we'll wait and see how that unfolds. And of course, the one and only Phil P. Had the pleasure of meeting this guy at the game. Absolutely love this man. Phil, how are you keeping, brother?
Yeah, listen, I can't believe it's taken till now to make my debut on the premier Irish YouTube channel for the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. Listen, we haven't got much to cheer about, lads, but there's some beautiful people in the community, and on the top of your screen are two of the best. And to meet you guys in person was probably the highlight of the Milan game. Obviously, until my rant went, mini viral. But we can get into that. But look, I've got to say, Alex is a real one. If we had 60,000 Alexes, it wouldn't be boring. And the demands he sets a high bar, right? Not everyone agrees with what he says, but you know what? He wants the best for our football club. So if you can't get on board with that, maybe you need to take a bus down to the empty crates and celebrate, some mediocre action man's type managers doing bits, small bits. But listen, I must say, though, this might be the last Spurs show I'm on until the end of the season, because officially I am on loan to Man City to the end of the season. So big up Haaland. Just do it in the league, mate. Yeah, no more of that missing from 5 yards against Forest. Yeah.
Was it that the above average John Carew we're talking about here? They're out the goals again, isn't it? Yeah.
Alex, we cannot slander John Carew. How many times do we have to talk about this? Well, maybe you're not. Maybe people are taking this the wrong way. You're saying he's a mediocre John Carew. John Carew, mate, listen, whether it's banging in goals, or whether it's avoiding tax, the guy's an absolute legend, mate. I didn't know those tax bills that high.
He's putting in a shift in for Spurs. He's putting in a shift in for the mighty Man City. Good job on you, Phil. Good job.
Oh, love it. Love it. But look, we're going to welcome and see who's in the chat with us this evening. And then we are going to kick off and get into what I feel are some very, very interesting topics. Dermotron first in here from THFC Till I Die says, big up Dave and Jack. Great to see the dream team back together. Big up the great panel too. Looking forward to seeing the great show. Come on, you Spurs. Woo! Big up, my man. A bit of velvet in my voice today, as you can hear. There's a bit of
Beautiful.
I know Phil P is fond of a big woo as well, and he's absolutely buzzing to hear that. But big up, Dermotron. It is good to have Jacko back in the hot seat beside me. I feel a bit naked without Jack at times, to be honest with you. But big up, Dermot, my man, and really appreciate the support. We've got Lee says, big up Dave and Jack. Always a great show. Looking forward to it. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Lee, my man. David Hall says we can have 100 new managers if they don't get backed by a chairman to get top players who can pass, control a ball, defend like their life depends on it, keep out goals and kick correctly. Enoch out. You're absolutely spot on. I'm actually going to be dropping a bit of a short video on that about Tottenham's backline. Not impressed with it at all this season. Dan Coy says the only way I see Kane accepting another manager is if Conte leaves solely because of his struggles the past year, losing friends and missing family, but I'm still backing Conte. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army.
Big up, Dan.
Look, I'm not sure what's going to happen between now and the end of the season over the summer. It does look like regardless, Kane will be here because Tottenham are not going to accept any offer for him, is what the stance is on that. But as for the manager, I mean, last thing you want is an unhappy Kane that's not going to perform for a manager. It happened sort of under Nuno. Can't afford to happen to that again. But there's bigger repercussions of that, which I'll get into later as well. Mick Carmelo says, good evening, Jack and Dave. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Mick. We have Stephen Trudgeon says, Kane needs to move for both parties to get some silverware and for us to start a major rebuild. There was life before Kane and we'll survive without him. Completely disagree with that, to be honest with you, my man. Look, I do agree that I think there's obviously going to be life without Kane, and it's coming sooner and sooner with every passing game, every passing season. But, I think it'll go the opposite way when Kane leaves, if you want me to be brutally honest. I think we'll just fall further and further behind.
Dave,
keeping Kane is our best chance of silverware.
Dave, sorry to interrupt you, but there's a stat that Brian's put up about Kane being, if Kane wasn't in the team. And it's frightening. It's very frightening.
Relegation, man. Even if you just take his goals out of the team from this season, you're fighting a relegation.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but Brian's got the stat. He said it on Henry Wright as well. He said it on We Are Tottenham TV. So that I completely disagree with because of stats. Well, I don't look at stats, but that stat I can believe because I know from what you've seen it on the pitch, haven't you? Yeah,
you can see it. You can see it. And you take away his goals this season, we're in a relegation battle. Big up KPV. Big up Adrian Schrocker. Good to see you. Phil Coy says, evening, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Phil Army. Big up Daniel Zito as well. Good to see you in the building. We've got Leo from Mile High Hotspurs. Good to see you, my man. Who else have we got in here? We've got Dan Davenport, Tom Tucker. We've got the one and only Graham. Big yourself up, my man. We have Catman Jess says, big up Dave, Jack, Phil P, and Alex Gladger. Feeling better, Jack. Good to see you all. Good to see you, my man. THFC Brown says, get Potch back ASAP. Can't watch this boring brand of football. Flat Cap Fangirl says, evening all. It's definitely a fake account. But look, if you want to be a fangirl, by all means. King Hoddle says, for the sake of
just take it, Dave. Take it. Huh? You've got to take what you can get these days. Just, everyone. Get in fake accounts, get them in.
True. King Hoddle says, for the sake of balance only, I did note that apart from the two thrashings from City and Leicester, and City can thrash anybody, we only have conceded 4 goals in the other 8 games with 5 clean sheets. We also have Paddy Higgins says, big up Jack and Dave. We also have Loki Shamuka says, Colorado in the house. Big up, guys. We're listening. Big up, Colorado. Tom81, good to see you in the house, sir. Daniel Sandoval as well. Great to see you. Carl Higgins says, evening, fellas. Good to see you in the building. Who else we got? Keith Edwards says, I'm now undecided about Conte, but cannot fault his position. J. Cole says, box office in the house, but I don't want to get to know it. We have returned to normal as well. Big yourself up. We have Morlar. Morlar says, do these stats add what his replacement would have done, or just expect that Richarlison would have scored more with regular game time as a number 9. And we've also got Alan Hayden says, evening, gents, top panel. Johnny Stokes is in the building. Big yourself up. And then we also have Jacob from United Spurs of America. So big yourself up, everyone. We are in a constant fight with the algorithm, always fighting with it. So make sure you help us achieve that win in that battle by smashing that like button, also smashing that subscribe button, and like Dermotron from THFC Till I Die. Feel free at any point to get in a super chat with your thoughts, opinions, whether you agree, disagree. It's the only way we can all have great, broader, balanced conversations, by hearing everyone's opinions. So feel free to make it a super chat. It's a great way to support the channel. But we understand it's very, very tough times out there. Sometimes, that fiver is the difference between having bread and milk before payday or not, going hungry. So make sure you don't leave yourself hungry. And at least, the least we ask you to do is just engage with us in the comments and still get your answers in. But for those who can and want to, the option is there to support us. But Jacko, over to you, my man.
Everybody, this is the big news this week. Harry Kane's future is not linked with Antonio Conte. His current contract runs out in summer 2024, meaning Spurs would have reached a situation where they only have 15 months left on his deal with their all-time record goal scorer. Surely we got to fix that. But everybody, Tottenham's manager, sporting director, Fabio Paratici, whose legacy we will be defending later, has spoken to Kane's camp on a couple of occasions regarding plans to sit down with the man and discuss a new deal in the near future. But the club have also not really entered in any sort of kind of formal negotiations with the player. And so we are kind of left in sort of a difficult situation where we originally thought that Antonio Conte, if he was kind of tied down to a new deal, that would then mean that Harry Kane would actually probably then pen, a new deal as well. But that is actually not the case. It's been broken by Football London, broken by Ali Gold, that actually it's not really the case that Antonio Conte is the one that's keeping Harry Kane around. So kind of my initial question really is, to maybe I go to the one and only Phil P here, is what do you think could actually keep Harry Kane around to sign him for a new deal if it isn't actually Antonio Conte?
Look, I personally think that there's not necessarily, I'd agree with that piece. I don't necessarily think there is a given that if Conte goes, Kane goes. Now, clearly, having an elite level manager, must be welcomed by any of the top players, any of the players really. If they want to progress and develop themselves as players, if they want the club to develop and maybe win a trophy once or twice before they're retired or we all die of old age, then yeah, it's good to have him. But as we've seen the last few times, just getting a manager in isn't the whole story, isn't, even a good chapter within a book of the story. So I don't necessarily and look, bottom line, I think Savvy talks about this quite a lot. Is Kane enjoying his football with Spurs at the moment? I mean, obviously he's in the groove goal scoring wise, but if you look back on his form in previous years, especially under Jose, the football was absolutely shocking back then. But Kane and Son were cooking on gas.
His accolades were even better, actually, under Jose. He had an even better season.
But look, for me, what will keep him? It all comes down to money, guys. It'll come down to one or two things. If Kane really does want to go to further his legacy, i.e. to win something, and if that is now, he's fed up of all these haters in his ear hole online all the time, and Spurs fans get trolled with this as well. Trophy. If he's got anything about him, he'll leave. If that is part of it, obviously he'll be looking to go. And we know about the trip to the golf course with G Nev, the back end of the season 18 months ago or so. But look, the other side of it is he obviously does love the club, right? Yeah. Whatever anyone says, he does love the club. I think it could come down to family circumstances. Him and his wife are obviously local. They still live nearby. I think both sets of parents are still in the vicinity as well. Yeah. So if they're home birds, that might play a big part. And look, what's it ever all come down to? Brass tacks, the filthy lucre. If Spurs break the bank again, and let's not forget we did break our wage structure before, and this is what the new stadium's meant to be all about, being able to give us this financial punching power, even though we never really see hiding a sight of it, just in case Sean's watching. In the end of the day, what is to stop us turning around? I don't want to give Johnny come lately the money, but if we were to turn around to H-Dog and say, listen, big lad,
what do you want?
500,000 bags. Here's 600,000 bags.
Blank check
to stay for the rest of your career at Spurs. How about you, big man?
Yeah. Would he accept another manager though, Phil? Like if his we kind of all thought originally that Antonio Conte surely was kind of the last straw, was kind of like the guy that if it doesn't work with Conte, it doesn't work with anybody else after that. And it seems like maybe he is going to go. Could he do it with another one? Would he be willing to have patience with another manager?
The big question is for Levy, really. Where do we go after Conte? But weirdly, you know, and as much as we're all sort of, you know, hitting the panic button, there's not, you know, we've burnt through all the spare elite managers out there. So unless Pep really fancied proving himself as the best manager ever and coming on down the M6 and the M1 to Hotspur Way anytime soon, I'm sure we could break him as well. Spurs could break anyone. Do you know what I mean? But for me, a really interesting and insightful comment years ago, and this might surprise a lot of people who I'm going to say mention this. It was Danny Murphy. He was on a podcast on the BBC, and they were talking about transfers. And they were saying, like, you know, is it about the project and how many minutes you'll play and when do these discussions start? He said the first and foremost thing when you're doing a transfer or any sort of deal is the money. The money is the first thing. That's what gets sorted out first. And then everything else comes after that. Jesus Christ, Romero signed for us. I'm not even sure whether we had Nuno in the building. And if we did have him in the building, obviously, I don't even think he unpacked his overnight bag, the poor lad. Do you know what I mean? Terry Waite's settings. I still think he chained to the radiator in Hotspur Way. Do you know what I mean? At Spurs Lodge doing his hostage videos, right? I will make you proud. And then looking off to the side because Danny Levy was there with a gun. Go, I'll kill your wife and family, mate, if you don't make us proud. It was nothing like that. He just said, make this video. Make me proud on the video. I'll get rid of you in a bit and get some other lad in. But if they give Kane the money, then it'll be another thing for him to consider. Do I really go and change, or do I actually stay loyal to the club that I love, see out my career, be a one club man in a game where now it's not the same anymore? Do I be this generation Stevie Gerrard? But I just worry that, you know, Man U, as much as they say, and other reports today, you know, he's not up for sale, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you're going to say that about your prize asset. It's another way of getting more money out of the deal. You know, you're not going to lowball me. You're not going to lowball Danny Levy on our prized asset. And that was never going to be the case. He's going to want top De Niro for H-Dog. And I don't know.
You don't lowball
see him walking, but if you deep it, I could, if we'd come up with that serious amount of cash on the table, I can see him going. But even then, even though we solved the Harry Kane conundrum, we then actually have a situation like we did when we gave Kane that first big deal. I actually think it did create a fissure through the club in the dressing room. I think there were a lot of people that were a bit, well, we've all been on lowball wages for a long time while this, you know, the restructure and the move into Wembley and everything else. And now Harry's got the big contract. He's on 200 grand, but I'm still on only 75 grand a week, you know. And you should never keep an eye on another man's wallet, lads. No, I was always told.
We're going to find a lot about Harry Kane's patience. Let's be honest. It's going to be tested. Mr. Box Office. I mean, was it a surprise to you that Harry Kane's future wasn't, I guess, directly tied with Antonio Conte? Did that come as a surprise to you? It kind of did to me, because I felt like if Antonio Conte was tied down to a new contract, that then would mean Harry Kane would get tied down to a new contract. But that's not exactly the case, it seems.
I mean, the fact is Conte's leaving regardless, and I've said my piece on it already. I mean, I'm a bit surprised about the fact that it's not tied to Conte, Kane's situation at Tottenham. But my position's not changed on Kane. He needs to leave Tottenham to get trophies. Absolutely, 100%. And him signing the contract, there's no moaning. It's the same with Conte. If he signs a contract, there's no moaning anymore, because he knows exactly what he's getting. He's getting himself into now. You know, it's clear. I mean, this year, I mean, the fact we didn't get into the FA Cup final this year is an absolute sham. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't. This is the thing. It's like if you want an opportunity, it wasn't against AC Milan. You know what I mean? We should have beaten AC Milan absolutely 100% because I'm sorry, they're bang average. With the strikers we got, we should have done better. Yeah, but we're not winning Champions League. No way. But FA Cup was absolutely gettable. Carabao Cup was absolutely gettable. And if we want to go back to even further, the absolute embarrassment last year of the conference, it was absolutely embarrassing. I'm sorry. And I'm got to the point now where I'm going to stick to what I say. He's a loser until he's still. He makes our team look good, absolutely 100%. I'm not saying he's a loser because he's not very good. He makes our team look good. Yeah, the stat that and I don't do stats. Yeah, I don't do stats. Yeah, I'm not a FIFA enthusiast.
This is your second stat in the show for a guy who doesn't do stats.
Wait. I want to know what's happened. It took 29 minutes for you to say the first bang average, but you're quoting stats all over the place. I want to know, as Will Stewart deep faked.
No, he had it. Phil, he had this yank in his ear all day. Turned Nottingham Forest. That's what happened.
My point is, my point is that at the moment, at the end of the day, the stat, the stat that comes out, and Brian makes the absolute point. But the thing is that you can see it on the pitch as well. It's clear, right? If Kane's not on the pitch, we don't win.
Yeah,
or
but
we're not even close.
This is the thing. If you want a real eye opener, that game against Sheffield United was a future shock. It was like an episode of The Twilight Zone, or for the kids, Black Mirror, because basically that is what Spurs will be without Kane. Yeah, that is exactly what Spurs. And you're saying bang average. I think we're bang in trouble.
Well, we're bang in trouble. The stats even say it as well, and the fact that it says that we're going to be 12th or 14th without Harry Kane's goals says so much. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I've got to this point now where, and the thing is, it's just like when we won against Man City and West Ham, everyone was going over to Chelsea as well. Everyone was going over the top, and I was sitting there thinking, okay, the only reason why we're winning these games is because Kane's on the pitch and no one else is going to create.
Yeah,
no one else is going to create. You know what I mean?
Alex, actually, sorry, Jack. One thing that really worries me, right? Apart from losing Kane generally, and how do you replace him? He's the best number 9, best number 10. He's probably our best defender.
Yeah.
He's even played in goal, for Christ's sake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, this is the answer. He needs to be player manager. Fact. Give him the player manager job. Listen, mate. His mate with a head injury gave it a go, didn't he? Yeah. But old Mace in your face, London gave it a go.
But the point I'm making.
Give him the armband. The fact he hasn't had the armband all these years is an absolute disgrace.
Yeah,
might as well give him the manager's job as well. 600 grand. Do you know what I mean?
My point is just to close it off. My point is that he makes us look good so much, that we don't continue without him. And for me, I just think he needs to move for his own good, because I'm not saying he's a loser because of the player he is. He's a better player than Haaland. Yeah. Right now, he's an absolutely better player. What I mean by a better player, why I call Haaland the above average John Carew, because he's a good goal scorer, a very good goal scorer. Yeah. As a player, though, if he doesn't have anybody to create for him, he is another John Carew. You know what I mean? He's just tall striker like Duncan Ferguson. Yeah. Harry Kane, he's not just a number 9. He's someone that can create as well. Yeah, and that is very rare in a player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A quality player. But the whole point
Alex,
is...
don't you think a massive worry for us, though? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
In prime Poch days, do you remember, it might have been the first time he got the bad ankle knock. He was out for a while, but Sonny stepped up, Ali stepped up, Ericsson stepped up. And look, I don't want to cause a fray or for Dave to cut me off the stream, just into my debut. But we actually looked a little bit more fluid without the big man. And I was like, whoa, this is mind-bending. Because we were almost, we were playing basically with interchangeable people up front, and they were all weighing in with goals. And it was exciting. But the thing is, from those prime Poch days, Kane, I think, was always our number 1, right? but they were one of a set of great players.
Yeah.
You know, you could say that Delhi was firing back then. Ericsson was firing back then. Sonny was firing.
Musa Dembele
Toby.
you had in midfield. Yeah.
Exactly. Musa, Jan, Walker Rose. Do you know what I mean? It was all going off. So they were all much of a muchness.
You had a foundation
young,
there, didn't you, Phil?
And looking to go. Now when Kane, you know what the weirdest thing is? Back when Pep said it, it was a bit scandalous when he called us the Harry Kane team, right? But he's turned into Nostradamus because we are now the Harry Kane team.
Yeah.
If he goes, my worry is that if Conte goes, Kane goes. I don't think there is that link necessarily. There isn't that direct correlation. I think if Kane goes, the tea ladies might go, the lads who do the laundry, the kit man, half the fan base. Dave, you'll be in retirement.
No, never.
I think
even Dave would want to go. He's Harry Kane's number one fan. Has Harry Kane's number one hair enthusiast.
I think for me at the moment, and just to close this off, for me, I think he needs to leave to win trophies. That's the thing for me. I think it's simple as that. He needs to do what all the top players have done at Tottenham at the moment. Until Tottenham, because unfortunately, I just don't see us doing anything. And I think the best chance of him doing anything this year was the FA Cup. And if he stays, he's gone on a free next year because that puts a lot of pressure on Tottenham to win a trophy next season. And for me, we need to do another build. And that build is not going to win trophies next season or the next couple of seasons for me. This team needs another build. People need to go and the top players need to go as well for their own good. And we need to start building to try and build another team now for me.
Or just a factory reset.
Well, that's the thing. I think what Henry and Sava say are absolutely spot on. It's not a rebuild because we haven't won nothing. I think it's build because we need to build to go back to where to build. And I'm not saying a build that is going to be a trophy next couple of seasons. I think it's going to be hard next couple of seasons. So
you know what this is like, Jack. I don't know if you have it over there in the States, but in the UK, and hopefully you get it, Dave, to while away the hours when you're not talking or watching Spurs. But, it's like when they do the home builds, like the self-build programs, like Grand Designs here in the UK on Channel 4, big up Kevin McLeod. The Spurs, right? Spurs, we're not trying to renovate something, an old castle, or put a new funky wing on the side of it. We started a build, right, under Poch. We got a new funky architect in. He was project managing it himself. He was doing all sorts of bits and pieces. Then we sacked one of his main labourers, Mitchell. He got put on gardening leave. Absolute joke. The data analysts have gone and revolutionised Moneyball at Liverpool. Cheers, lads. Can we have a medal? Just chuck us a medal just for the crack. At least send Levy a thank you bottle of wine or something. And then the whole build's in a shambles, water leaking in through the roof. We're hemorrhaging money, right? And then we're having to get new contractors in all the time. And Kevin McLeod's come back to see how the Spurs rebuild's doing. And it's just open anarchy. The wife's left us.
The renovation of the original renovation.
The wife's left us. The kids that were young. Kane was young when he started off. He was just coming into the team. Now he's retiring at the end of his career. They've all gone. They've all got husbands and wives. And we're sat here like mugs in the shell of a house that should have been beautiful. Left me. And the kids are all grown up and they don't want to see me anymore because I'm a sad, bitter old Spurs fan. And that's it.
Dave, you're Harry Kane's number one enthusiast, Harry Kane's number one fan, though. Surely you would know how to be able to sweeten the deal. You would know how to be able to convince Harry Kane to stay, because I feel like, Dave, we're going to need somebody to be able to give us something that can, convince us to keep Kane. Could it be a captaincy role like was brought up before? Could that sweeten the deal? Maybe a bit of extra money, like we said, maybe previously. What would it take, maybe, Dave, for you to be able to keep Harry Kane around?
I'll be honest, I think what it takes to sweeten the deal obviously leads to him having to be captain in the squad. If you want me to be brutally honest, I think, look, first of all, Tottenham have to break a wage structure, which they're notoriously not known for breaking, So you like, because Kane's going to want probably about 500k a week. It's his sort of last big contract, his last payout. And if he decides to leave Tottenham on a free, he's going to get a massive payout wherever he goes. Because there's no transfer fee, he'll get a lot of that or at least a percentage of the transfer fee in a signing on bonus. So we are going to have to offer him absolute massive money and break that wage structure. And I just hope that Tottenham don't mess him about, try to save a penny here or there. The guy has scored 20 plus goals in six or more seasons. He's been an unbelievable servant for Tottenham. Even over the last 2-3 years, you know, he has been the only, him and maybe Son, bar this season with Sonny, have been the only joy that any fans have really had in Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I think it'd be an absolute crime to piss this guy off. Whether if Kane is in a position, whatever he wants, you have to give him without upsetting the apple cart. But Tottenham also have to show Harry Kane the right vision, in my opinion. I have no doubt that it's Harry Kane is sitting there, although his family's settled and everything else. When you're a player like Kane who dedicates yourself to your craft every single day, you know, to become the very best, you ultimately do want trophies. It's all well and good breaking all the individual accolades, but you do want trophies on your CV before you retire. It's only natural with someone like Harry Kane. So I believe Tottenham will also have to be able to sell him a vision that aligns with what Kane wants, because Kane has always said, my ultimate dream is to lift trophies at Tottenham. So that means, you know, what manager are they going to get in after Antonio Conte if Antonio Conte is gone this summer? What direction are we going in? It's going to have to be a manager where, because I have no doubt Kane does not like sitting behind the ball for large periods of the game. You know, under Pochettino, even when we were defending, Kane was still allowed to sort of sit up top and affect the game. So for me, when I look at it, I think Harry Kane will obviously want to have a say in what manager comes in here, what the style of play is, but also, you know, what parts of the playing squad need addressing, upgrading, what players need to get out that don't share the vision. And with that, I think with the large wage and with someone like Kane having a say, ultimately you also have to offer him that captaincy role as well, because there's talks of Tottenham making him the future of the project. And if you don't offer him that captaincy role and you have Kane with the say he doesn't on the wages he has and someone else is captain, inevitably it's going to cause frictions. It's going to cause arguments, a power struggle in amongst the squad. You're going to have a captain and his cronies in the squad saying, hang on, he's the captain, what he says go. But then you have Kane. He says, it doesn't matter what you say. I have power with above. So, you know, for me, I think you have to offer him that captaincy role. I think it has to come with it, or you're only going to open yourself to problems further down the line. But, you know, with that captaincy role and with him having that say, hopefully the board actually listen to someone like Harry Kane, because they're getting it wrong. They don't know, you know, too much about the playing side of things with evidence of where they've gone wrong since the Champions League final and sack of Pochettino. So why not, you know, trust someone like Kane who has the club's very best interest at his heart, who wants to win trophies. So you know it's coming from a place of wanting to deliver, wanting to win. So let him have a say in a manager, in the style of playing, the tactics, and players coming in and out. Someone like Kane, you have to, because I can tell you now, if we end up losing Harry Kane, you take his goals out of the team, with Son in, it's looking like in decline. You can't guarantee he's going to pick it up next season. We're left with a bang average team and a bang average squad. You take Kane's goals out, you end up then as sort of relegation fodder. And with the rate we change managers, and we're constantly looking for new manager bounces with that back line, we're going to end up like Watford, and we're down in the Championship before we know it. So this next managerial appointment and keeping Kane is absolutely crucial. For me, this is a break for Daniel Levy or Enoch. If people aren't there before, this is what will be, because you've got Hugo Lloris, who needs to be replaced, been fundamental since 2012. You've got Sonny, you know, who you don't know whether he's going to come back to form, but he's also coming to the end of his career at Tottenham. He's 31 now. You've got Kane coming into his 30s as well, and he's only got a short time left in his career. And with us being in a position where we're changing managers every 16 to 18 months, we will be in a position then where you have Kane, Son, and Hugo gone, and then you also still don't know what direction you're going in with management, and it only leads to disaster. So for me, this period with Harry Kane's contract and, you know, we're appointing the right manager this summer is absolutely crucial, which I'll go on to explain further on.
I think it is crucial, but I mean, if he was given, let's say, that sort of option to maybe go, then, I mean, Alex, what do you think? Like, he could maybe come in for, you know, a bit of 100 million. Man United could throw something in there. If Harry Kane were to push the club to accept a bid of 100 million, is he justified to do that, Alex?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to try and keep away from the ownership. I try and keep away from it. But my point, I think,
Is Harry Kane justified to basically ask for whatever he wants in that contract?
well,
But is he also
I
is
think,
he also justified to ask to go if he knows 100 million has come through?
well, I've always said that I respect him even further if he puts a transfer request in. He should have done that before he went to when the whole debacle with Man City. I thought if he put a transfer request in, I would have had more respect for him. You know what I mean? Put his intentions in. Say, you know what, I need to go. Transfer request. You know what I mean?
But can I just say though, what really, because in the end, that whole thing created a massive divide, and a lot of Spurs fans still haven't properly forgiven Kane for this. Now I have, because I love the guy, right, and I appreciate what he's done. You know, even because to a certain extent, look, he the questions we're asking now, the philosophical questions about, you know, loyalty over trophies and all of this sort of thing. In the end of the day, and look, I appreciate it. You know, one of the comments, one of the lads said, I think it was Darren, you know, he'd lose respect. And big up.
Because that's the other side of it, Ben, is that...
Would you lose respect for him if he chose money over trophies? Look, in the end, if Man U come in from him, or Newcastle come in from him, or anyone else comes in for him, he's going to be getting a pay rise, right? So he's not...
But there's no guarantee, though, that he's going to get trophies at them club. Like Newcastle, you know, it looks like they're not going to get top four. They got at the run around in the Carabao Cup final. They're not. There's no guarantee he's going to win a trophy moving there. Man United, okay, they won the Carabao Cup, but look at the easy run they had, and they played basically the best 11 to get there and win it. You know, it's kind of like there's no guarantee that United are going to kick on next season and win cups either. There's no guarantee unless Kane goes to Man City, where he's not going to go. The ball and the opportunity in the window has been missed because they signed Erling Haaland. They're not going to have the money, or they're not going to.
Dave, even Man City, there's no guarantees in life anyway. Because we know ourselves. Look at poor old Dylan Markande. He got sold to Blackburn and had a massive injury within minutes of his first game. That could happen to Kane. God forbid. God forbid any player ever gets injured. But at the end of the day, Man City, he could sign for Man City on bundles. They could get relegated. Pep could say, sod this for a game of soldiers. I'm going to live in New York.
Or the financial thing catches up with Man City, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're relegated. But another thing too, though, lads, is I feel like as well with Harry Kane, what's interesting is after the Gary Neville thing, a lot of people felt betrayed. A lot of people, like you said before, are still kind of grappling with, you know, forgiving Harry Kane. But then there's the other element of it, which is Darren, though. The other element is Darren's side, which is like, I would have more respect for Kane if he actually left and if he actually pursued trophies. There's kind of two ends of the spectrum here, where some people want Harry Kane to stay at all costs. Some people want Harry Kane to go and get his trophies.
I have to say this. Like I said, I respect him more if he puts a transfer request in. Because for me, I think I'm an old school guy. I just think you just need to be direct to the point. I think I'm immune to this now, guys. And I know this sounds really silly, but the thing is, I've been a Tottenham fan since, like I said, Jerry Francis. I've known Tottenham being bad, nearly getting relegated, mid-table.
Now that's a hairstyle. That is a hairstyle, lads.
Yeah, you've been mid-table. I've been, and then I saw the Poch years and everything else, and then obviously I've done my research on the past and stuff, and I know when Tottenham were really, really relevant. But I mean, in that time frame, I've seen Sheringham leave, I've seen Carrot leave, I've seen Berbatov leave, I've seen Sol Campbell leave, and the Sol Campbell one. And I know people don't like, and I don't really care, to be honest with you, because you can hate Mr. Bots off all you want. Because if you don't know, get to know. Alex Teeter, just see if you really want to know. I don't really care. I'll eat it all up and say it all. It's all proud. That's it, and I don't care. But my point is, Sol Campbell gets lots of abuse, and I don't like that at all. Because the fact is, the guy went to Arsenal to win trophies. If he stayed at Tottenham.
You can't respect. Look, you're saying you respect someone like Harry Kane if you handed in a transfer request, and you don't respect him right now, but you respect someone who left Tottenham to go to your bitter rivals after saying he would never dare to do it. I mean, look, it's a myth that Kane has.
I've got to speak on this, Dave. Right, Alex, I appreciate where you're coming from, and there's a lot of echoes of the Campbell situation, but I was there front line with Campbell. And the last time I ever saw him, remember, he was our captain. One of our own had come all the way through, right? And he was running down his contract, but there was a lot of talk that he was going to stay. The last time I saw him in the heat of battle was at Old Trafford in a semi-final that we lost to the Scum, if my memory doesn't fail me. He limped off injured, and I was heartbroken for him and then for us because we lost another semi-final. And the next time I saw him was laughing in our face with Wenger. I won't say any more about Wenger, but one of his mates might have gone back to jail this week. Yeah, you know where I'm coming from here. Yeah, 70s pop star setting.
Jose Mourinho laid him, the voyeur.
Exactly, the voyeur. Yeah, exactly. Specialist in failure. But look, what the point I'm trying to make is, just like Kane, if Campbell had gone anywhere else, maybe except for Chelsea, I would have clapped him out the door. And whenever he'd come back, he would have got an ovation from me, if not from everyone else, because he had done his duty for this club, right? And yeah, if you want to go for trophies, whatever, God bless you. He could have gone anywhere. He'd gone to the new camp to do tours of the new camp, all this stuff. For him to walk down the road and join them is unforgivable, and I will never forgive it. And, you know, and that's why, you know, look, I'm not big, I'm not clever, but if there's a song sung about him, you know, I'm going to be frontline and sing it. But actually, I know you won't talk about it, Alex, but one thing I will say is I find it very, very, very hypocritical, right, that some people will say and run down the Levy out, Enoch out movement because of a certain song similar to the one we sing about Sol Campbell, about the chairman. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I don't actually want either of these people to die. I don't really want anyone to die, right? But for people to say they're not going to get involved in a protest or back the movement or whatever because of that song sung by our chairman, right, because they find it distasteful, great, fine, but keep the same energy. If you've ever gone to a North London derby, right, and even if you haven't sung that song yourself, the fact is, other fans are singing it, have always sung it, and it's 20 plus years on, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't keep the same energy. You're not coming to protest, but then don't go to North London Derby because people are going to sing that song about Sol Campbell until probably we're all dead. So, you know, there's got to be a bit of consistency in arguments sometimes. Mm. So look, yeah. I'm not here to throw shade on anyone who doesn't agree with the movement, because actually, as someone who is frontline with Enoch out, I actually want to invite people into it. We all need to come together as a fan base. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not trying to tell anyone else how to support the club, but I'm just telling you, I'll be singing definitely the Sol Campbell song. But I just think there's a little bit of hypocrisy that we will sing it about, let's face it, a player, right, with a certain skin tone who has left the club. No matter what we think about what he's done, we'll sing about him. And the guy has serious mental health issues as well. But all of a sudden, it's really wrong to sing it about a chairman who actually has given us, you know, not very much to cheer about. People have got to say if it's wrong for them, it's also wrong in that situation too.
I just wanted to say about Harry Kane as well. I think it's a bit of a myth that he has to leave Tottenham to win trophies. I think there's been ample opportunities. The year we finished second in the league, there was an opportunity there. The Champions League final, the League Cup final under Pochettino. You know, we had the FA Cup final that Mason was in charge for. So he has had opportunities to win trophies. Now, where I would say,
Dave, if we're gonna be real now, how many goals has he scored in semi-finals and finals for Spurs?
No. I agree that. I agree with that. But
I know he's been injured a lot of the time.
It's collective.
I'm not blaming him.
But what I will say is, it's a collective. But have we had the squad going into some of them? The league, I argue, we should have won. I think we had the squad to win that. The Champions League final, our squad was in decline. You know, it was Winks in the midfield with Sissoko and stuff like that. Squad was in decline.
Yeah, but Liverpool were there to be beaten. That look, I'm not salty. Any Liverpool fans that are in the
what I'm trying to say is
yourself up, but
what I'm trying to say is that sometimes, you know, you have to have, it's a squad thing in a final. Everyone has to be able to have the mentality. Everyone has to be not afraid to play. And that's what we can't offer, Kane. I don't think we're too far away. I don't think we have to have such a rebuild and an implosion that maybe you guys think we need. I don't think that whatsoever. For me, I think we're not too far away, and I do think there is something that we can build on, which we'll get into when we talk about Paratici. But I'm not sure Kane has to leave Tottenham to win trophies.
The worry I've got, though, Dave, is, and maybe in his thinking now, is really, we're almost there again, maybe. But the biggest chance to win trophies was probably under Prime Poch. And that's gone. Although, obviously, we got to the League Cup final under thing. But going to what you're saying, Dave, about the squad game, obviously, we'll probably argue until we are all in the ground about whether Poch should have started Kane in the final, right? And we could all have a position on that. But in the end of the day, he wasn't fully match fit, obviously, because he was just coming back off injury. What was everyone else's excuse? What was Sonny's excuse? What was Eriksen's excuse? What was Dele's excuse? Yeah?
I need to say...
Who else stood up to be counted in that game?
I need to say this, though. Yeah? All right? I don't agree with the whole thing about Sol Campbell because I still stick up for him, whatever the situation is.
We're not here to talk about Sol Campbell.
I know, but I have to put my position on it. I have to put my position on it because I'm gonna. I don't care, Dave. I don't care. I don't care if people have a go at me because I put my position on it. He was my favourite player, and that's it. So I'm not going to agree on people on what to say on that. What I will say on Kane though is he needs to be selfish. The fact is he's been in semi-finals and finals. He's messed up. Yeah, he's ducked it. Yeah, and top players get you through finals and semi-finals, and I can mention those other players that have done that. Okay, there's no argument here. There's no argument here that he makes our team look good. Right? I've already mentioned already about. I've already said to you already, and the stats always said it as well. We don't even need the stats to prove it. You can see it on the pitch. But the point is, the stats already shown it already. Without Harry Kane, we're a mid-table team. Yeah. You even said it's a relegation team. Well, I can agree with you on that. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. 100%. But the point is, if he's been at Tottenham for how many years now and it's not happened, even at England now, this is the thing. He could have done it for England. Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard the excuses for England now as well. And that's a good England team. Yeah. We can talk about Southgate, but let's just say this. Top players get you through finals and semi-finals. And that should have been Tane's time to get a trophy. If he got a trophy then, I think we've had a different conversation about Tottenham Hotspur, 100%, yeah? But the point is, it's not happened for how many years now at Tottenham? So after that, I'm sitting there saying...
But this is the thing, we can't, none of us, right, unless he goes to Chelsea or to the scum, no one in their right mind can criticise Kane.
Let me land on this. Let me land on this, Phil. Let me land on this. He's not going to Europe because of the family, yeah? But there's no way, I'll tell you now, Chelsea, Manchester United, I won't even discount Liverpool. If Kane's available right now, right, for 100 million, he's going for it. You're going for it, and that's it. And I'm telling you now, Kane's going to be looking at it right now. I do understand that you can't guarantee trophies somewhere else, but he's been at Tottenham for how many years now, and it's not happened. And under top managers like Mourinho and Conte. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Yeah, and that's courtesy of Mr. Botsoff as a truth and entertainment, and that's it. If you don't know, get to know. Back to you, Dave, and that's it. Or Jack, and that's it.
I got a member super chat here from Hennessy, member for 4 months as a fan show member. He says, "Great panel as always, lads. Big up. Wonder if we will ever get back to the level of the days with Toby, Vertonghen, Dembele, Eriksen, etc. I do hope so. Come on, you Spurs," says Hennessy. It feels like what's maybe Kane is missing right now, Hennessy, is sort of that foundation around him of those players that we were talking about that could maybe step up in those big situations, that could also maybe be able to give him that confidence. Because if anything, Harry Kane probably nowadays and probably recent seasons has kind of gone into each and every game, rightfully so. He is the best player in our team, but maybe goes into the game feeling a bit alone out there, kind of feeling like he's the kind of only real guy of his quality that he can kind of rely upon. Maybe Sonny as well, but I wouldn't really say anybody else apart from him and Sonny have kind of been able to rely on anyone else. It's kind of just them two or them alone to be able to kind of stand up against anybody. And he's probably been kind of lacking that Dembele, lacking that Eriksen, that foundation of players that can also hold him accountable, right? Like even Alex was saying, let's say if he was kind of sloughing in a final, maybe someone like a Vertonghen, someone like a Toby would be able to hold him accountable. And it's not really the case that really there are players in that team that would say all kind of sort of share a similar class or, share, a similar ability. It's just kind of so divided, I would say, among ability and even among just levels in this whole team, which also kind of contributes to how we maybe fall apart in finals, I think.
Yeah, but Jack, you're absolutely right. And Davis, like you say, I know you've got your opinion on, the dressing room straighten up, yeah? And, the clear the air talks and all this. If you're really letting it rip in a dressing room, we've had a bad result like we did against Leicester, or hopefully, you'd like to think they'd had another sort out after the Sheffield United game, but obviously it didn't work, whatever was said or whatever, anything happened, because then we went and lost to Wolves, and then the season ended that Wednesday that I met you lads, right, against Milan. But if there was a situation where there was a heart-to-heart dressing room, right, let's tell some home truths, lads, let's get round, let's have it out. If someone says anything to Kane, he is probably going to slap them around the face, and he deserves to, if not physically, metaphorically. And it deserves it, because what are you meant to say? Who are you? Why are you talking to me? I'm literally, I've got a bad back. I've got a herniated disc from carrying this club for 9 years on my back on my own. Help me carry the weight, you bums. You bums.
Exactly right. Carrying the casket. Mia W says, I'm done with being Kane FC. I don't want him to go and win. I want him to step up when we have chances to. If he leaves, I don't want him to win. I support Spurs, not Kane. Everybody wants to get your answer on this, Dave, because do you want Kane to go off and win trophies, or do you kind of feel like Mia does here?
Look, the thing is, the whole Kane FC has been bestowed upon him through our transfer business and the way this club has gone since the Champions League final. Under the Poch days, we weren't KFC or Kane FC. Sorry, not KFC, Kane FC. We weren't Kane FC because everyone was pulling their weight. We had a prime Hugo Lloris, Toby and Jan, who knew how to fucking defend. Unlike the defense committing crimes against defending in football now that we currently see, we had two wing backs that could do both sides of the game. We had two midfielders, one that was expert and world class at carrying the ball, and another one that smashed people for a fucking living. You had attacking players who had creativity. They had it all. They had skill. They had flair. They had the passing range. They could run in behind. They could score goals in and outside the box. We had it all. But since the Champions League final, Hugo Lloris is in decline this season, not replaced. Toby and Jan have never been replaced. Kyle and Walker have took so long to even get anywhere near to that level. The midfield, okay, you would argue nowhere near the level that we were used to, but it's been our best part this season. But my point being is, because of the decline in the squad, it creates the narrative of Kane FC. Kane doesn't want it to be Kane FC. If you're Harry Kane, you're looking back at that defense every single day in anger, in spite. You just want to smash them. You want to put their heads together, right? You're angry because you want them to be on a level that can get you to finals, get you back to where we compete underneath Pochettino. So we're only KFC because of the decline in KNFC because of the declining squad that we've had, and that's it. And because Harry Kane is one of the only ones who has not dropped his levels from the Poch days to now. He's one of the only ones that has increased them levels. So we're not Kane FC, but I'm telling you now, the warning signs are there if we don't keep him and use what we have left of Kane to build a solid foundation behind him. If we don't use that, we're going down one way. You look at our history of replacing strikers down the years. We don't have a good history of it. Since maybe Robbie Keane Berbatov, we've tried Soldado, Vincent Janssen, Llorente, people like that who have never, Darren Bent at a time when we brought him in, Pavlyuchenko, spent big money on all these guys in them specific eras, have not worked out. I don't trust the club to replace Kane. But also, it's not going to take one player to replace Kane. It's going to take 2-3 players that know how to play in the system. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take a good manager to be able to have that in place when Kane leaves. Losing Kane is losing 20-plus goals a season. We should care as fans whether this guy leaves the football club or not. It's fundamental. In fact, Harry Kane is one of the last people anyone should get fed up of being.
Yeah. Dave, actually, just quickly though, would you agree with Mr. Twan55 saying, like, why should Kane leave for trophies? What about staying and winning trophies with us by using his leverage to maybe force Enoch and Levy to do the right thing now and get the players in? So that's kind of goes back to also what we were saying earlier about what would it take for Harry Kane to leave? Maybe part of that being is like also given some leverage to make decisions about manager, maybe some leverage to make decisions about what sort of, squad improvements there's needed as well. But I'm kind of torn here because I see Mia's logic here because I agree. Like once Kane is gone, he's no longer playing for Spurs. He's not winning us trophies. He's winning someone else trophies. And that does kind of feel a bit sick. And that doesn't really feel as great. But you have to also feel, at least me personally, Mia, me being kind of a bit of a sympathetic guy always, I feel like I would be happy for Kane that he gets those trophies. I would be happy that he went through all those years of kind of torture with us and then he kind of gets a reward elsewhere. But I agree with you. Like those are trophies for someone else. Those aren't trophies for us. And we have to stick here. Like we're stuck here like quicksand for the rest of our lives, just waiting for that next trophy to come. So I see what you're saying, Mia. Like he gets to go off and get his where we don't really get that option. I mean, I know Phil loaned himself to Man City, but we don't all get to do that, of course, to be able to go win trophies.
The thing is, if he chose to leave Tottenham and go on to win trophies elsewhere, I won't hold a grudge against him. But as much as I love Harry Kane, I'm Tottenham Hotspur first, and I can foresee what's coming, and I can foresee the danger of what's coming if we let someone like Harry Kane go. No one listened to me when I spoke about Jose Mourinho at the time on what was coming, and guess what? Everything I said has followed since, So we've got to take these warnings. As much as we love Harry Kane, we're Tottenham Hotspur fans first, and keeping Kane is what's best for this club going forward. If he doesn't even go on to win trophies elsewhere, fair enough. That's a consequence of his decision signing that new contract and staying. But first and foremost, I am Tottenham Hotspur, and I foresee keeping Harry Kane as best for Tottenham Hotspur going forward. If he wins trophies at Tottenham, brilliant. If he doesn't, okay, it's a shame and it's a waste of his career, and how we've handled him being at the club and not making the best of his career. But at the end of the day, I want him to stay at Tottenham Hotspur. We will suffer without Kane. You think we've suffered the last 3 years? There's more to come without Harry Kane.
Pick yourself up, Mia.
Don't you think, though, this is the horrific mindset that we are now in as a fan base? There's many people that would agree with you, Mia. Many. And I think all of us in our darkest hours would. It's almost like, just Jesus Christ. It's like, if you're in a bad place mentally or whatever, and you say, to your significant other, look, just leave me, just, go and, wish you well, sort yourself out somewhere else. But at the end of the day, then they go and you see them in a bar like months later and you're like, Jesus Christ, I wish we were still together. We will regret it. And the worst thing is, we know for a fact, it's not even up for debate, we will not replace like for like because we can't.
There are irreplaceable players, and that's just a reality.
There isn't a player that we could afford because these type of strikers don't exist anymore. So actually, we'd have to completely.
And he's the only one like him, even right now in the world, who can do what he does, like you said, who can play center back and play number 10, play number 9. I mean, there's so few like him right now in existence. It's not like you can find another one to replace him. But Mia, what's amazing is so many people, the moment she sent that in, were like spot on. Mia, completely agree. It just shows kind of the difficult questions that Spurs make us answer. And some people are completely on Mia's side, and some people are kind of a bit sympathetic like myself and maybe would be happy to see Kane, win other trophies. Am I pushing him out the door? Absolutely not. I would never push Kane out the door to go win trophies, me personally. But would there be a little part of me that's a little satisfied to see him maybe get something that we weren't able to give him, something that we, in a way, kind of horribly weren't able to deliver him? I'd be a bit happy for him. But also there comes to the question as well of like, did he do enough, in certain maybe games to take advantage of his opportunities? And that still also is up there for debate. But everybody really, honestly, love that question from Mia. Really do appreciate it as well. And also anybody who wants to throw in those member super chats like Hennessy did as well. I'm keeping an eye on those two people. I'm keeping an eye on anybody that wants to get involved that way as well. Pick yourselves up.
One thing I would say, though, don't you think? Cheers, Jack. One thing I would say, it is and you know, one thing I definitely hold the chairman accountable for is how we've had a player of this quality come through the youth ranks, and we have failed to build a team around him. Putting the ball in the back of the net is the hardest thing to do in the professional game of football. And we have had one come through our ranks, one of our own, overtaken probably the greatest player in our history, Jimmy Greaves, to become the record goal scorer at our once great football club. And our failure to build a team around him is borderline criminal.
Yeah.
Borderline criminal. And it will only be in years to come that we will actually get to realise how horrific it's been. So it's not even the fact that we'll go downhill when he leaves, but it's the opportunity cost that we'll never fully realise.
Yeah.
What if we had pushed the boat out? What if this? What if that? What if the sliding doors moments had happened? But we will never know. And yeah, this is why. Look, I'm not going to be calling Man U and saying, "Look, lads, if you put in a bid, you might get him." But in the end of the day, if there's a leaving do around in the pub around the corner from the training ground, I'll be the first one to buy him a Guinness. You know. I hear that he doesn't drink, so big up yourself, Harry. To the end.
Him and Dave will be have a nice Coca-Cola. But Dave, we do have maybe some other questions to get through still tonight, everybody, and it is some interesting ones about Antonio Conte's future. We just found this out apparently that if it was true that the game I had gone to on Saturday, where I was cheering on Richarlison and Moon Boots and was making Alex Davies, I would imagine quite upset with how much I was screaming in his ear. But Alex, turns out maybe that game was a make or break game for Antonio Conte, and if he had lost it, we actually would have sacked him. If that's actually true, I mean, do you feel like we should have just sacked him sooner then? That feels like a weird game to make a make or break game, right?
Where's this coming from, Jack? Who's reporting this?
This came from Sammy Mockbell of the Daily Mail, from my one and only trusted Tottenham Tears. It came from. So it's you could say it's coming from a guy who reports often on Spurs. He does a lot of pretty reliable sources.
At the end of the day, I'm Conte out. I'm sorry. It's not his fault, because really we went to him twice, and it's just not going to work. Right? He wants to win now. You know what I mean? And I just got to the point now where you're just flogging a dead horse. Sorry from anybody who's got a horse, offending anybody who's got a horse. But just like
Alex, don't be xenophobic against the Irish, mate. You know what I mean? Put the horse in the lift; it'll never make the stairs.
I'm done. I'm done trying to be just like, I'm being honest. Like, we need to just do another build and just get back to the club that we should be. Playing attacking football, and it's going to have to just take time. And whether what David is right, it could be a very scary situation for Tottenham, with this build, because we don't know if it's going to end up like Everton. We don't know, because for me, that's it. But I'm sorry.
What it tells me, Alex, is that it's actually the case that it's always been top four. It's never FA Cup, it's never Champions League. It's about top four. And if top four is not in jeopardy, maybe the coach actually is not in much trouble as we might think, because they might drop out of a cup, they might drop out of a competition. Of course, that always puts us, in a bad place. I mean, Dave, I think I saw you nodding your head there, where it's just like
it's deluded that though. It's deluded Jack though.
They set the precedent of top four, didn't they? They sacked Pochettino on that very issue. They sacked Jose Mourinho on that very issue. They sacked Nuno on that very issue. So I mean, it's the requirement.
If top four is not in jeopardy, maybe the manager's not in jeopardy.
They won't sack one while top four is still in play.
But then this brings into question something else, then, lads. If he gets top four, then Levy, by his own metric, will be like, well, Christ, really, I should want him to stay at all costs. But, look, everything that Conte's saying, and like I said after that Milan game, you cannot bring on Dave the Rave Sanchez, right, for Kulu, even though Kulu wasn't playing well, okay? Unless he'd you know, God forbid, because Mwamba had a heart attack on the pitch. Unless, woo, there you go, just for Danny. Do you know what's in the bun? Do you know what's in the bun? Right, this is through the Greek grapevine. Okay, the Greek side of the family have told me what's in that bun is an ITK receiver. So it's like a tiny little satellite dish that points out into the world, and all the ITKs broadcast back to the mothership inside the bun. And so that's where the bun gets all his info from. So
it's not the bun. He's just deluded. That's it. He's still my boy, though. He's still my boy, regardless. They're still missing back games, but he's still deluded.
Conte, you cannot do that. You cannot make those substitutions, right? You cannot just whimper out of that game. Isn't this a crazy stat? One for you stat merchants out there. Conte hasn't won a knockout game in the Champions League since before Harry Kane had scored his first goal for Spurs.
That's ridiculous.
That's twisting my head. How can this be possible? He's managed Inter Milan, Juve, Chelsea, when Chelsea were good. What's going on? Listen, everything.
But he is very good in the league, and he's
to be patient. He's telling us to be patient. Listen, mate, you went bald and grew hair back again in the time that we've been waiting for a trophy or to sign a decent striker. So listen, long after you've gone, we'll still be sat here crying and being patient.
Right? Although I don't agree with him asking the fans to be patient, because I don't think he understands where the impatience come from. And I think the fans are right to be impatient in terms of how long it takes us to do anything, you know, rectify mistakes in the transfer window, let alone win a trophy. But do you not think then that our impatience is actually hindering us and costing us, right? Because when you think about it, right, and you look at the way football is now, you look at Liverpool, they backed Klopp, they kept them through tough times, continued to back them. Guardiola didn't come in and rip up any trees with Man City when he first came in, but they kept him, continued to back him, this, that, and the other. So the evidence is there that when you back managers and they're there for 4, 5, 6 years, you will deliver trophies. So we can't keep going through this cycle of wanting managers out every 16 to 18 months. Jose Mourinho, 17 months, we wanted him out, even though we know there was issues, you know, that were there from what got Poch sacked. 16 months into the job, we now want Conte out. 4 months into the job, we want Nuno out. It's kind of like, but in essence, Conte is right. We have to show some manager patience if we want to deliver trophies at this football club.
Also, if you have the players at their disposal, right? I mean, it's not going to be a linear arc with some of these players at their disposal. These guys are not capable of putting in, as we know, consistent in and out 7 out of 10 performances. They're going to fail you in an odd night in Slovenia on a Thursday against Enes Mira. They're going to fail you against Middlesbrough. They're going to crap out on you every now and again as well. And that also comes with patience, I think, with the manager, but it also comes with patience with us as fans. But let's be honest. I mean, it's the case that Spurs fans have run out of patience, and it's understandable.
He wants to go. I'm not necessarily. I'm saying, look, at this stage, I think he should go. Right. I'm not saying I necessarily want him to go, but the football's crap. We've gone backwards since last season. I don't care what anyone says about, you know, we're better off points wise than we were last season. The football's been horrific compared to where we were last season. And with everything he's saying in the media and the choice he's making, he wants to go. But the biggest thing is, if we were seeing progress, if we were seeing some sort of incremental changes, then you could get on board with it. But we're not seeing anything. And the whole point is, again, we were sold the pipe dream of he's a trophy winner. He's a serial winner.
It's not being sold the pipe dream. It's the truth. It's only
he was one of the most decorated managers before.
But he was meant to come in and change the mentality, wasn't he, Dave? Where was the change of mentality at Sheffield United?
Look, for me, what I would say, Phil, is, look, this is where I sort of disagree. I agree that, look, the football has been atrocious this year. I think it's been crap. But, you know, look at some of the criminality that's been caused across that back line in defending. You know, I'm actually putting something together. And I've only done half the games this season. I still have to do the other half. And what I have is absolutely criminal. Right? Absolutely criminal.
Now, just individual mistakes alone, Dave, we'd be higher up, wouldn't we?
Right? that back line, we say, right, Conte's here to change the mentality. The reality is, they weren't a main part of Potter's first 11 or anything good that we done underneath Pochettino, simply because he knew they weren't good enough and they couldn't do it on a weekend, midweek basis, which is required at a club like Tottenham Hotspur. Right? Then Jose Mourinho came in. Toby and Yama coming to an end. He had started having to rely on the likes of Davies, Dyer, Sanchez. He couldn't change their mentality. Nuno couldn't do it and Conte couldn't do it. We've got to stop asking this question of he was supposed to change their mentality. These guys' mentality will never be changed because they don't want it to be changed. You have to want it to be changed. They don't have that. Their desire and hunger is not football-related trophies or success. It's a pay packet. They're not good enough. That's an issue that predates Conte. I think when you look at the wing-back situations, I think the right wing-back is the best I've seen since Walker and Trippier. I like Paul and Emerson. I think there's something to build on. Conte has not been helped by an issue with Hugo Lloris, which we knew he needed replacing. Even before Conte arrived, we knew he was in decline. When Hugo Lloris signed the contract, he said he was supposed to have a hand in picking his replacement and working with him and a guide for the next 10 years at Tottenham. We haven't done that. That's not Conte's fault. You look at left wing back. You know, how long has it took us to get anything of some sort of standard there? Perisic, okay, hasn't been good this season, but he's good going forward. But you've got a Doji coming in next season who many people in the world of football rate. You go into midfield, you can't really talk about them guys because, to be fair, they're probably the only part of the team I do not have an issue with this season and I've played on a consistent basis. But then you go into the forward line. He hasn't been helped by Son's decline. Kulu as and Richarlison. But no one will speak about the amount of injuries we've carried at times this season. With times for a large part of the season, we haven't had Romero in that back line. You've had an anomaly of a World Cup thrown in there, which I don't care what anyone tells me. It affects a period of games before that World Cup because no one wants to get injured. No one's going to put their body on the line the way they usually would. So there's a number of things that acclimatized to the reason why Conte hasn't been able to instill his mentality, his philosophy, his ethos. Why hasn't Jose Mourinho been able to do it? Why hasn't Nuno been able to do it? And why hasn't Conte been able to do it? The reality is, if you want to compete, you need to have a world-class defense like we did underneath Pochettino. Toby, Jan, Walker, Rose, and a good goalkeeper, solid goalkeeper you can rely on. We don't have that, and we haven't had it for 3 years. We've had 3 defensive managers that are known for their pragmatic style, but have not been able to play defensive football, get them to merge as a back line, or change their mentality. And we've only spent money on Romero and Joe Rodon and loaned in Lenglet to fix the issue. The issue is above these managers. No manager is going to be able to succeed without a back line, because guess what? Even if we do want to get Pochettino back and get back to where we want to go underneath him, what was at the heart of what allowed him to play his attacking football? A
good defense
where the guy could rely on. World class. The midfielders and the forward lines were able to push forward, make these runs, and get involved with play without a care in the world, without having to have any defensive responsibilities, because they also trusted that back line. We don't have that at Tottenham. The managers don't have it. Kane and Son don't have it. People that they can rely on behind them. And if we ever want to get back to that, we have to upgrade that back line. Now, the reason why we won't do it, and we've brought in 3 pragmatic managers, is because to bring in 1 world-class centre-half is going to cost you 80 to 100 million. We ain't spending that. We need 2 at this football club to come in along and play in alongside Romero. So that's double that. It's actually cheaper to hire and fire and go after the best pragmatic managers in the world and bring them in. And
it only costs $5 million, actually, turns out.
Yeah, put the blame on them and sat them and make them look like their whole career has been an absolute mirage, an absolute, cannon show. It's an absolute joke. Look, I get the football's boring, but if we had a defense, that defense has conceded 2 or more goals in 16 games this season. That is not giving any manager a chance of winning, let alone bringing success. If Pochettino or under Jose Mourinho, we were winning games 1-0. We couldn't keep goals out at the other end. Last 10 minutes, we kept on conceding goals. Well, guess what? In cup finals, if we ever get back there again, they're always cagey affairs. They're always decided by a goal, either here or there. And we need to have a back line to be able to hold out. So we can sit here and blame managers and blame the boring football. But you're not going to see on the front foot attacking football when you don't have defenders who can pass and play like Toby and Jan, or who can defend like Toby and Jan. We are set up for failure until that's rectified. And I truly believe if we've done that underneath Antonio Conte, I think you will see the success. Controversial. I know we're going to talk about it, but this Enrique guy, Luis Enrique. Okay, the guy done well at you at Barcelona, but he's really had a mixed bag in his career. Most people are calling for him to come in because he plays this attacking football, and off the back of the success he had at Barcelona. But guess what? He had Messi, Neymar, and Suarez to work with, but he also had a world-class backline and a world-class midfield. He ain't coming in and turning Tottenham's fortunes around, being able to play on the front football and everything else, knowing that we've got a shit backline. And also, he changed his tactics from Barcelona to the Spain job, which he had recently, to suit what Spain had. He's going to have to do the same to come to Tottenham. So you might not get the guy you think you're getting. So my point is, Conte has the CV to prove it at different clubs in different countries. I'd much rather continue to do it under him than get rid of him and bring in a new guy. Now, everything I've said does depend on him wanting to commit. But he has said a number of times, the club know what my plan is, what my future is, what my vision is. So therefore, it falls back to the club. If they know he wants to go, they should have sacked him already and brought in the next guy to give him a chance to suss out what players are for him, what players aren't, what players suit his ethos, what players aren't. Instruct them nice and early to go and, find yourself a new club this summer with assurances that what he wants is coming in, so that when we start a new season, we are not sitting there in a trial period, wasting away the first part of the season, dropping points. So that's where I'm at with it.
I think this leads us to the big climax. I think this leads to the big climax question here, everybody, which is where a lot of Spurs fans find themselves. Do they want to continue with these proven managers of a certain resume, of a certain, kind of pedigree, winning trophies and basically at all costs type of mentality? Or do we want to maybe go back to what maybe Spurs fans are sort of used to, which is attacking football, always being that attractive team in the Premier League that everybody wants to watch and everybody wants to kind of get behind? I mean, what do we stick with? Because Phil, let's be honest, I was in the stadium against AC Milan. It was absolutely dreadful. I lost my voice, screaming into that pillow that you handed me after that game. But what do we want? Do we want attacking football basically at all costs, even if that means kind of downgrading a level of manager? Or do we want to continue maybe with guys like Conte, who, of course, have a very proven resume before they do come to Spurs?
Look, just for the avoidance of doubt, I want everyone to know that, there was nothing sort of sexual involved with the pillow. And, we were still in the pub.
And it wasn't from the club shop either.
Exactly. It was actually, it was my multi-purpose scarf, wasn't it, Jack? I said, look, this is a great, Levy would be selling it on this basis in the club shop, because as a Spurs scarf, you can use it after a game to scream into, to muffle the sound of your screaming, so you don't look as much of a head case as you actually are. Maybe I could have used it when I went on my rant. And also you can wipe away your tears. If your son looks up at you and says, Daddy, you all right? You can go, yeah, I'm fine. Just a bit of dust in my eye.
Only 2-0.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. We only drew 0-0. Yeah, we're out. Oh, Christ. But look, for me, you touched on it, Jack. The biggest realization was you think, right, Jose's coming in. Yes, finally, this is it. We get
proven manager, knows how to win.
No, Levy's not going to be able to bring him in and not back him. Then COVID. So that's a standard excuse, right? Then Nuno falls flat after 70 odd days of looking for the poor guy. We finally found him and then lost him again in quick order. So then we had to bow down to Conte's demands and bring him in. And that really, really stuck in my claw, actually, that summer, Jack. And, in the end, you've got a chairman who apparently is a Spurs supporter, right? Should be the one who's obsessing about us and how do we get back to the very top of football. I don't mean like the odd trophy here and there. I mean, how do we become the best team in England? How do we become the best team in Europe, right? That should be his obsession, right? Not gold taps in the executive toilets of the new stadium, right? But in the end of the day, but God bless him, the stadium's lovely. But one thing I would say, right, is you've got an ex-Chelsea manager who, you know, for all we know, doesn't care a jot about Spurs, who actually cares more about and is more ambitious for our club, even before he came in, than our chairman. Doesn't make sense. But yes, unfortunately, I think a huge part of this, obviously Levy wants to get top four, and he does think, right, we can get this manager in. He knows what he's doing. He might be able to polish the turn and will get us top four, right? But a huge part of this, unfortunately, if you're really going to deep it, I think, you know, it is cheaper to get an £18 million a year manager, A-list manager in to keep the natives happy, right? And get us all renewing our season tickets. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you will be getting that email for all you legacy fans out there like myself, the CRN army, right? The customer reference numbers, right? Legacy fan FC. We're all going to be getting that email, and God knows what it's going to cost us, but it's going to be more than last year. I can tell, or this current season, I can tell you that for damn straight. Unfortunately, you know, no cost of living crisis and then 17, unless Levy wants to moan about it. You know, having to pay people higher wages and all that sort of stuff, but it's cheaper, isn't it? Pay Conte the money rather than having to actually spend money to back a manager. Look, for me personally, at this stage, as for all the things you've said, Dave, and I agree with, I still got to be critical of Conte from the point of view, every game we play 7 defensive-minded players and we cannot keep a clean sheet. For the love of God, right?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, though, Phil. Like, we've got to understand, you know, they're the same players that couldn't keep clean sheets under Jose Mourinho, which he was famous.
I know, Dave. And two of them weren't getting in under prime Poch. I get that. Davis and Dyer were gone.
So then why do we expect them to be able to keep clean sheets, or Conte be able to get them to keep clean sheets?
Pochettino even didn't have to use them. He didn't even have to use them.
But lads, we're talking about international footballers here. We're not playing Tanganga and his mate from the youth team. These are all international footballers. Okay, say Davies and Dyer aren't up to scratch, right? Langley played for one of the biggest teams in the world, and now also ex-Barcelona. And you've got international players on each flank on the right wing back and left wing back, right? You've got two basically holding players or double pivot, whatever you want to say. All of them are about guarding the back, and we still can't get a tune out of it. It's not.
Would we sooner give Conte the benefit of the doubt, Alex and Phil? Are we going to sooner give Conte the benefit of the doubt, or are we going to give Dyer the benefit of the doubt again? Are we going to give Davies the benefit of the doubt again?
Like they say in Shakespeare, a curse on both your houses. It's all got to go. Davis and Dyer have got to go. They've got to go. Seriously, if they give that bum a new contract, I think I might actually have to choose violence, right? It cannot happen. It can't happen. The guy moves and looks like a statue from Easter Island. For Christ's sake, he's got the turning circle of the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. Jesus wept, but there's no one playing violin on the boat as it sinks. The guy's a bum. He's a bum, but he is an international footballer. And we're not even trusting him to be in a back four. Look, you've got your two mates either side of you. But I don't know the last time he put a tackle in. I don't actually know the last time he put a tackle in. And also you stat merchants, I want to know how many actual tackles does he face up to a game? Because I bet if you compared him next to Romero, it would be.
He strikes more poses than tackles.
Yeah,
strikes more poses. Listen, do you know what? I would never actually condone violence, by the way, people. But I actually think that his brother might have been the one calling him the C-bomb from the crowd that time against Norwich.
Probably
just put it out there because you're dragging the family name down, Eric. You've made Dyer mean Dyer by name, Dyer by nature. Jesus Christ, he's the worst footballer since Dave Bag of Shit retired from Morecambe in 1982.
Yeah, he's absolutely
footballer.
I want to pick a bone with this. Their international players and Conte should be getting better. I want to pick a bone with that. But first, I want to let Alex in because I know Alex had something.
Yeah,
to say.
Alex. And what do you make of the question I've asked? Is like, do you want to continue with the managers with the proven resumes like Jose and Conte who know how to win? Or Alex, do you want to kind of just go back to some attacking football that, let's be honest, you just want to be excited to see because you do go to the games, Alex, and you are there. So you have a better perspective at times than I do when it comes to being able to see the good football, the bad football, the boring football. I mean, what do you want to see out there?
Do you go to the games, Alex?
Yeah, I go to the games. Yeah. Just going back on the question, your last question, because I didn't get a chance to really say what I need to say on it.
Work away.
What I will say on that, I mean, Conte's just not our manager. You know what I mean? Whether we like it or not, he's just not our manager. Simple as that. Because, you know, the fact is, he's a win now manager. He's not, you know, I've said this on my channel already. Alex THSC, if you really want to know, Mr. Botsall is talking the truth again, because that's how I do it every single time. But my point is that he's not a win. He's a win now manager now. He's talking like it. He's been telling you this already, right? He's been saying, "Oh, we're you know, top 4 is our trophy." Well, he's talking the truth, but at the same time, again, it's like, well, if top 4 is our target, well, you should have got Conte in the first place. That's the point. Jose Mourinho should never have been here in the first place. This is the thing. I want to go back to attacking.
It's a smoke screen.
It's a smoke screen. But where I'm leading to what I want to get to, the next question you asked me, well, I want an attacking manager. And I want somebody that's going to build to what Levy, who's going to be working with Levy, but working with the ownership. Because the fact is, now, I'm going to talk about what I want, because I can't really talk about the ownership. You know what I mean? We've done the ownership already. I'm eating out all day long, but I'm like Sava. I can't be bothered to talk about it anymore. You know what I mean? You know, because then I get idiots telling me, oh, and I'm not talking about anybody here. Someone, and you know who I'm talking about, said to me, oh, well, you shouldn't go to the games then because you should do your part. Well, sorry. Well, tell that to 60,000 other people in the stadium. You can't tell that, can you? You know what I mean? Because no one's going to change their mind, aren't you? You can't take out the ownership easily, can you? You know what I mean? It's not going to happen, you know? So I can only talk about what I feel, and what I want is attacking football and doing what Brighton are doing at the moment, having a structure everywhere from top to bottom. Yeah, the youth, the scoutingship, you know, everything, everyone working towards the same thing. Yeah, and I want it down to attacking football. Everyone, the youngsters knowing what they want to do, what they need to do in the first team. The players that we get in are the same thing, the same identity of what we want to play and everything else. Good attacking football, passing football, maybe like Poch, maybe like De Zerbi, something like that, basically. You know what I mean? And the recruitment team, the director of football does the same, knows exactly how the identity of the club and what they want to bring in as well. You know what I mean? Like Brighton, like Leicester City in the past. You know, like Newcastle have done in the past, doing at the moment. That's what I think we should be doing. You know what I mean?
Do you think we need a clear, then we kind of what Mia's saying here, like we need to stick to a plan and get told the plan, Alex?
Yeah,
I believe it's
absolutely.
the way for fans to be on the same page, because if we had a better message on what we're supposed to be trying to do, or at least what the ethos of what we're trying to do is, maybe we would all be on a better page, Alex. Do you agree with Mia?
Absolutely. Because at the moment, all we're trying to do is trying to win now. We're chasing for success, and it doesn't work with Tottenham. We just get lucky, like with Ramos and with George Graham, and those are the last 2 trophies we've won. You know, we got lucky. You know, and I have to admit it; those are the best. That was great to watch Tottenham and win something as a young person. But at the end of the day, when you look back, we were very lucky to win those trophies. Very lucky to win those trophies. You know, and so, you know, for me, if you're not going to win trophies, you've got to play good football for me. Yeah, and have a structure and have a strategy. And what is the end goal? I don't know what the end goal is. All I'm hearing is that I want Champions League. And Champions League is not going to go nowhere. We're not going to get anywhere doing that. You know, we're not going to get top players in this club, are we? After getting to Champions League, are we? We haven't done it the last how many years getting into Champions League. All we've got is just get second-rate players to try and fit them in a system, and that's it. It doesn't work, and that's it.
Kill me now.
That's it.
Kill me now. I actually agree with a lot of what Alex said.
Everybody's putting on the chat.
I need to go and reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. But what I
Have
do
a look
want
at
to
yourself,
ask
Dave.
Alex,
Have a
what
look
I
at
do want
yourself.
to ask Alex is Alex and to Phil, but Alex, we'll start with you. Did you enjoy Conte's football at the back end of last season?
I thought we were very lucky last season. I have to be honest.
But did you enjoy watching us?
No,
the back end of last season?
I fits and starts. I've got to be honest. I was sticking to what I said. I wasn't totally on board with it. I have to be honest. I wasn't totally on board with it. No, but I was open. I was waiting to see what happened this following season because I was very, very disappointed still that we didn't win a trophy last season because I think we should have still won a trophy last season. You know what I mean? I think we still should have won a trophy because I think with the manager of Conte's pedigree, I think that's what he would have wanted anyway. You know what I mean? I just don't see the point in bringing Conte if you don't win trophies. I just don't see the point.
For me, I actually enjoyed watching us the back end of last season. I think fans are very, very quick to forget
I liked it.
What we were watching under Nuno, and to see us. Play the football we did and score the amount of goals we did to, at the second half back end of last season. I actually enjoyed watching us. And what I will say is, I've seen the very best from a Davies, from a Dyer and a Sanchez in that period than what I've seen from them throughout their whole Tottenham career. And I did say that's not going to continue into this season. And that's fundamentally let us down, which also hinders the way we play football. But with the amount of goals we concede, also hinders the way we approach the game and play football. So people that would maybe say Antonio Conte doesn't adapt, I would argue I think he is adapting by getting all 11 players to drop in behind the ball and make it solid to try, even though it's not working. But also, I would say is you can play a good brand of football under Antonio Conte given the right players. And that comes back to me as Super Chat. It's about being a manager, sticking with the guy, telling the fans exactly what's going on, but then also allowing the manager to bring in what players he needs to implement his ethos, his system, and his style and his philosophy. And you've got to work with the manager. But this is where I think, for me, the club fall down. I think they fall down in terms of their communication with the fans. It's absolutely non-existent. Yeah. It's always a one-way transaction. It's take, but never give anything back. And that ultimately stems all the way through to management, to players, because they're all left with the lack of communication like we are.
Can I ask you, Dave?
Yeah, well.
Can I ask you, Dave, would a good example of that lack of communication that you're talking about, would a good example of that be kind of switching from Pochettino, which was sort of the example of attacking football, right? That was when Spurs were sort of the best example of that, where it's still attacking football that people enjoyed and wanted to see, but we were winning at the same time. When they switched to Jose, could they have been maybe more forthcoming? Could they have been more truthful about, listen, we're kind of switching things up here. We're not going to be just kind of blindly picking the next attacking manager. We're going for something a bit different. We're going to go for this guy who we know has won trophies right in front of us and has won trophies, consistently at various clubs. Could they have maybe done something a bit better there and maybe kind of, I don't know, how would they do that? Could they have been more truthful about making that sort of gear change in the type of managers that they went after? Because clearly they did make a gear change from, Pochettino to Jose. That's a very obvious one.
Yeah. Look, for me, Jack, on that situation, I think we will never, as fans, I think it's all a knock-on effect. I think us as fans will never get the transparency or the honesty we're looking from the club in terms of the plan, how they go about that plan and everything else, because I don't think they know what they want to do and how to go about it. But also, my firm belief is they changed tact and they changed course is because they knew they got it wrong sacking Pochettino, in my opinion. As soon as they pulled the trigger, I think they regretted it instantly. I think they also realized that under Pochettino, we were scoring goals, but we weren't keeping them out. But also our midfield was in decline, which also has an effect on the back line. And so rather than actually go out and spend the money necessary to do it, which Pochettino warned us we need to do, painful rebuild, they thought it'd be easier to be able to bring in a manager known for being able to, from his time at Porto, etc., get the, make the teams defensively solid, which was our problem under Pochettino. We couldn't keep goals out. So go and get the best manager in the world at defensive football, who's notorious for keeping clean sheets and winning football a certain way, knowing that we still have Kane and Son, who will also always get us out of the danger and always score us goals regardless of the system. That didn't work out, but they've continued on that path. And rather than admit they've made mistakes and they've made errors, they're going to continue on this path because, like I said, it costs a lot more to fix the problems in the squad with the wages, signing on fee and transfer fees and agent fees required in football nowadays than it is to sort of try and hide the issues with a manager's ability. And I would actually argue, if we continue going on bringing on the front foot managers, you would probably see more of a turnover in managers, in my opinion, because they'll be let down by that defense. And there's a reason why they went one way. You got to ask yourself, why did they flip the script all of a sudden? Why? Well, we know why. Because they knew the defense was a problem.
But they didn't want to upgrade it at the same time. They'd rather a defensive manager come in and fix Dyer and Davies instead of getting rid of Dyer and Davies outright and just giving Pochettino new defenders. They instead thought maybe a defensive manager can get the best out of Dyer and Davies, and they paid the price for that. But I don't know. I mean, Alex, maybe I'll go to you first, and then I'll ask Phil the same question, and then I think we'll start wrapping it up. But Alex, like, do you agree with kind of what I was saying that, and it ties back to Mia, like, do you feel like maybe when they switched from Pochettino to Jose, they could have been more truthful about what they were maybe going for? They were maybe making that transition from attacking minded managers to more, winning, at all cost managers.
We haven't got a plan, Jack. It's simple as that. We ain't got a plan. Fact. Yeah. The fact is, right.
Can't be truthful if there is no plan.
Well, there's no plan. I think the example is Newcastle. Newcastle owners come in, they say, well, we're going to have a plan for 5 years. In 5 years, we want to win the league. What is our plan? What is our plan? You know what I mean? I'm not going to go on the ownership because, as I said, there's no point in me talking about the ownership that I'm not going anywhere right now.
I think the plan's staying in top four.
Exactly. So it's just the plan is top four. For me, top four is absolutely pointless. Absolutely pointless. And this is a guy that said, that what was the point of sacking Pochettino when you wanted top four? You know what I mean? That was the plan with Pochettino, and then you bring in Jose Mourinho, and and then you're saying that you want top four with him, but when he's blatantly wants to win trophies, you know what I mean? There's just no logic whatsoever. Yeah, that's why I'm just saying I can only go on what I feel at the moment, because at the moment I don't know what they're going to do. I've got no idea. I know exactly what we should do. We should go for a manager like Pochettino, but we need a plan. We need a plan with him. There's no point of him coming in and saying, oh, well, he comes in and then it's, we're doing to appease the fans again. It's absolutely joke. And some of our fans, unfortunately, the gift that keeps on giving, will just lap it up like we did last season. We jump up about Antonio, and then all of a sudden we don't like him all of a sudden, which I said last season. It was lucky last season. I told you, yeah. We've got to change his name now. We're all talking about Virgil van Dijk. We all know about Virgil van Dijk, don't we? Because this is what we're calling Virgil van Dijk last season.
No one over here was calling him Virgil van Dijk.
I know you weren't, David, because what were we talking about a couple of seasons ago? What were we battling about? Dyer, yeah? And look who's now come to your side of the table now, bro. Who's come to this side?
Look who we're sadly still talking about.
Mr. Box Office, yeah? Who was arguing about Davis, saying that he was a very good player a couple of seasons ago, yeah? It was me. I was sticking up for him. Yes, he has looked good, but he's still bang average, though. He's bang average. Sanchez, I'm sorry. And now we're talking about Emerson. Saying, oh, he's good. He's good. Well, bruv, good doesn't get you Champions League, bruv. Good doesn't get you FA Cups, bruv. Good doesn't get you to championships, bruv. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't get you to even a Conference League, bruv. All it gets you is mediocrity. And that's it. And that's all I need to say. Because when I say the name Bill Nicholson, the name Keith Birkinshaw, what does that say to you, bruv? Championships. European championships, yeah? Phil knows that. You know that, and I think that Jack is just coming down to it now, coming down to our level now, and that's it. And that's all I need to say.
I'm just learning from the professor of truth and entertainment.
Box Office, talking the truth again, and that's it. And that's all I need to say. And back to you, David, and talk your
I'm
truth.
still getting to know, Alex. That's the problem. I'm still getting to know. I'm almost done with my third lesson. And then this is the thing, Dave, is that we used to give Alex the homework. Now he's giving us the homework. Look how things have changed. Alex is giving us the homework these days. Mr. Moondog is in the house, Dave-O.
Yeah, big up, Moondog. Good to see you, my man. Just a quick plug for Moondog. The guy made me an absolute one-off piece that no one else in the world is ever going to have, so be jealous. And if anyone is looking for anything like this, for any gifts, any occasions coming up, family, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and the Sports Spurs, get in contact, and I'll put you in contact with Moondog. I mean, I like to promote people within the Spurs fan base that, want to try and make a go of something. Although Moondog doesn't actually want to try and make a go of it, I'm going to try and make a go of it for him. So if you want anything like that, get in contact, and I'll put you in contact with the man who makes the one-off special pieces.
Top man, Moondog. Dave, I mean, Mrs. a little jealous of that piece?
Very jealous. I mean, I had to kick her out of the bed the first night I got it. She had to sleep on the couch, and I had that wrapped in there, tucked the blanket in underneath, made sure Harry was warm, stroked the hair. Bit jealous, but look, hey ho, she understands the role. Harry Kane is number one, and she's number 1.1.
Phil, I wanted to let you in there, though. Was there anything from maybe Mr. Box Office, truth spiel there that, you wanted to pull out there? Any kind of nuggets that, maybe caught your ear?
Lots. Let's break this down step by step. Yeah, let's eat the elephant one bite at a time. Look, I think the thing is, right, as I said right at the top, Alex demands a lot, right? He wants the best for the club, and I think we all do. But I think the difficulty is we do accept substandard bullshit. Okay, and that's where we are.
Force-fed it sometimes.
We're force-fed it, but we believe it. But you know why we do? Because we are Spurs fans, and we will follow the club, even if we were to get relegated. Some of us
into
will
the abyss. We'll follow
exactly right into the abyss, Jack. I keep telling you, James Cameron's early works. We're going right over the. You know what following Spurs is? It is like that film, The Abyss, except no one disarms the bomb. We're going into the crevasse and no one's disarmed the bomb. And we're all hallucinating. Ed Harris can't type on his
Turns out the cave goes deeper. That's what we keep finding. The cave just keeps going deeper.
There's no bottom to the Mariana Trench. We're going, just going all the way down until lights out, Tony. But look, thing is, the picture over my shoulder, is Graham Roberts scoring at White Hart Lane to win us the UEFA Cup. Next season, that is going to be 40 years ago. Now, I think I'm the only one on the panel that I think is old enough to have been alive, let alone remember it. But since that night, right, we've won 1 FA Cup and 2 shambolic League Cups. But we would take that all day long because we're starving hungry. We would eat that up all day long.
Right.
40 years, we've won 3 trophies for one of the most decorated clubs in Britain. Is an absolute disgrace. I'll tell you something, right? My dad's favourite player is Jimmy Greaves, right? And he always counts himself lucky that he saw Greavesy in his pomp, scoring all those goals until recently, the most goals of any player ever at Spurs. And for my dad to see that team, a great team during the 60s, and his hero to play throughout all those years, he says he feels blessed to have seen that, right?
Yeah.
You know how Greavesy's tenure ended? Bill Nick called him up one day and said, I've had an offer from West Ham. We're selling you. You've got to go. And that was it. Bang. Best club player ever. Biggest player, most gifted player maybe we've ever had. Gone. Done. Out the door. That fast. Heartless. I feel bad for Greavesy. Whenever I heard that story first, and every day now that I remember it, I always feel bad. But you know what? That's what puts Bill Nick on top. And it didn't work out. Greavesy went. Martin Peters came in. Didn't really do much. Obviously won a World Cup for England, but that's not helping Spurs much. but he rolled the dice and he was ruthless. How many toast sentiment? We as fans can be sentimental. The managers can't be sentimental, right? My argument about Conte or any other manager is, if it's not working, don't play them. The biggest problem this club has is there is zero accountability at any level of the club. The chairman's only job is to make money for the owner, and he does that very well. So he is happy. They don't care about winning football matches. I'm sorry if anyone still thinks they do. They want to get top 4 because it's got the biggest revenue. Okay, not finishing in the top 4 for Levy is like being relegated. So that's why it's such a massive thing. And that's why he does act ruthlessly whenever that time comes.
That's a good analogy, actually. It is like being relegated, not getting top 4.
It is. It is. Look at the difference in revenue is bigger between 4th and 5th than if you get relegated out of the Prem, because at least out of the Prem you get that parachute money, so you can bounce straight back.
Top
up.
4 affords you like a 60 million pound center back, whereas Europa League doesn't. That's what you're so right. You're so spot on. Whereas if you get into Europa League, you kind of operate at more of a negative based off if you know the returns that you get with the Champions League. You don't really operate as much on a negative. It's true.
And I'll tell you something, Jack. As loyal as the Spurs fans are, right? Let you into a secret. None of those Champions League group games sold out, the home games. None of them sold out. Okay. If we're in Europa, they're never going to sell out.
No, I mean, look at West Ham. Wasn't it they were begging fans to go to that Conference League game, basically? They were even begging West Ham fans to show up to it.
Listen, they begged me and they hate me.
Yeah, I would not send my worst enemy down there. Ever.
Be careful, Phil. You're not allowed to talk about them. They cry, so you're not allowed to
actually, we shouldn't give them. They're trying to stay relevant as much as possible here.
It's all good. But they're massive. They'll be massive in the championship. The worry I have is for the other teams down there fighting it out in the basement. There's only one West Ham, so 2 other teams are going to get relegated. Do you know what I mean? So realise that. But no, the thing is, lads, there's the accountability thing.
Yeah.
First massive letdown of the season, away at the empty crates. Hugo absolutely shat the bed, right? Not only should have been dropped, he should have been stripped of the captaincy.
Yeah.
No one batted an eyelid.
I got my video come out about it, Phil. Don't get me started on Hugo. We're going to be here all night.
Got sent off.
I was having a good night, actually, Phil, until you mentioned him. But you continue.
I know, Jack, but we've got to break it down. Look, I love you boys. I want to give you a massive hug, but we can't beat around the bush all night, as the actress said to the bishop. Right? We've got to talk facts. Zero accountability. My man Royal, okay, couldn't play in the league, was then starting all the Champions League games. No, mate, you've let the club down in one of our biggest games. You sit on the bench for a bit, mate, and you learn the error of your ways. Yeah. Hugo, let's wind the clock back even further. He let everyone down by drink driving.
Yeah,
okay?
Completely.
He never missed one game. He was never stripped of the captaincy. He should have been bench warming for a long time, and he should never have had
didn't set an example for us.
The armband again for our club. You cannot drink drive. He shouldn't even be drinking alcohol. And you know what? That's the worst thing. But I haven't forgotten, and my dad hasn't forgotten.
I haven't forgotten.
Who was he drinking with that night? A load of gooners, yeah? Giroud and that crew. So listen, mate, Hugo, it's all in here.
Not my captain. Not my captain. I agree.
Son.
I agree.
Okay?
No accountability. And it stems from up top and it stems to the players. It's no accountability.
Right? And then my man throws it in the onion bag again. The worst bit of goalkeeping I've ever seen. Listen, I'll let you into a family secret. My mum said for a long time that she thinks Hugo's on the take. It'll come out in years to come that he was throwing games. And we all used to laugh at her. We thought mum might have had, a bit too many Baileys or something. Do you know what I mean? Just maybe losing the last of her marbles. Looking after us lot, bringing the likes of me and my brother up and looking after my dad all these years. But the longer this shit goes on, now she's looking smart and I look like I don't know ball, right? Because the only 3 explanations actually, what Hugo did at the home game in North London Derby. 1, he drinks when he wants. 2, he is on the take. Or 3, he's a gooner. Maybe a 4th choice, all of the above. I've never seen a professional goalkeeper do anything like that. No. In a 5-a-side team, if your goalkeeper did that, there's probably going to be a tear up on the pitch.
And if you don't know, get to know everybody. The Lloris video is coming out tomorrow from Mr. Kanicki yourself. If you don't know, get to know. I'm putting the big Lloris expose, everybody.
But look, all the way up and down the club, lads. Director of football. Yes, he signed a few good players, right? Like a few good men. Tom Cruise, get to know. But how many absolute bums have come through the door? He's meant to be Conte's boy. Signing players that he wants, then all this club signing, manager signing. Listen,
I know what you mean.
It's probably true, but listen, we are Tottenham. They should all be the same thing. And look, the biggest thing, Conte, right? Braves are lying, not playing Spence. Braves are lying, not playing Richarlison. If you don't like Moon Boots, bin him out. Put Tanganga in. Put 2 other kids in. Listen, the best knockdown from a centre forward this season actually came from a defender.
Oh.
The little assist that he gave Mo Salah when he knocked it down to him in the Liverpool home game was absolutely sublime. Chef's kiss, mate. Mwah. I could strangle that bloke sometimes. The amount of unforced errors that bloke has done, I think he's playing at Wimbledon, not as a centre-half for Spurs. Absolute disgrace.
Unforced error,
absolutely. But he keeps getting picked, Dave. I know what you're saying. You can't polish a turd, but stop picking him.
Well, who do you want him to play? Who do you want him to play?
I don't care, mate. Pick 2 blokes out. Listen, the young lads, they're getting paid. Put 2 youth players in. Play anyone there.
Look, I hear you.
Really want to he sends a political message about Jed Spence and all these other lads. You've signed these players. I don't want them. Bin off Dyer. The guy's a joke. Play anyone there.
I hear you on that, but the reality is,
play Forster back there.
Someone
give
like
him
Dyer,
give him an outfield shirt.
Someone like Dyer is better than what we've got in the youth ranks, and that's the harsh reality of it. But at the end of the day, a manager shouldn't be forced to play these guys out of necessity, because they should have the players to pick from, and that's what we need to get back to. But look, one thing I will say,
I don't think they should lose their job over these guys, Phil. That's my thing. I don't think they should be losing their job over the guys like Dyers. As much as maybe they can be criticized for those guys, I can't stand by them losing their job over a Moonhead.
Yeah, but this was the point I was trying to make about the story about how Bill Nick got rid of Greavesy. If Greavesy can get binned off by this club, right? Anyone can, and anyone should. How Dyer is still here is a disgrace. What I'm saying is, I know there's no one else to play, right? But if you're serious about standards at any job and someone's not cutting the mustard, you say, right, we'll just do without them.
I agree.
Get out, right? And then Levy has got no choice but to sign a centre-half. A blind man, right? It's Cheltenham week. A blind man going at pace backwards on a racehorse through the training ground could see we need to sign centre-halves. Every Spurs fan in the community knows we need to sign centre-halves. What is Paratici seeing that we're not seeing? What's Levy seeing that we're not seeing? And look, I think it was on your show, Dave. Sean said, well, look, for all you lads that don't want to get top 4 or whatever, then we're not going to have the money, the finances to buy a centre-half. Look, football is show business. It's not show friends. No one's got a divine right to finish anywhere. If we don't get top 4, we don't deserve to get top 4 over 38 games of association
football. There is an importance and reliance on the money, though.
No, I know. But if your goal is to get top 4, you need to buy players to get your top 4. Right?
Look, this is why
Levy doesn't come across to me as a religious man. He's not going to St. Francis Church opposite the ground before every game and lighting a candle and saying a prayer that Dyer won't fuck up. That's what he needs to do. That's what I'm going to start doing. Right? God bless.
I pray to the gods every day. Don't you worry about the back line. Don't you worry.
But listen, these boys are not good enough, right? But we need to get better. If we don't get top 4, yes, it'll affect the impact of the money we can afford to get them. But then we as a club need to go out and sign players that are good enough to get us there. There's no point thinking, oh, we haven't got the money now, so we've got to ride this horse for another year until the whole thing falls apart again.
the thing is, Phil, I think we are getting to that point. I think look, when Paratici came here, to be fair to the guy, there were so many issues to fix. Whatever money we had to spend, it had to be another scattergun approach where you're looking at a certain amount of money covering so many issues and problems. He is also being affected by what Steve Hitchen has done at Tottenham, which what Steve Hitchen done in terms of player recruitment has held this club back massively over the last few years and has contributed massively to the shit we've had to see on the football pitch. And someone like Paratici, he can't get it on. Unfortunately, the whole team needed to be fucking rebuilt, maybe bar Kane and Son. So it's kind of like, we're always going to be sitting here with areas where it's like, well, we haven't got this done and we haven't got that done because of the way the club operates. They don't want to put 300-400 million up front. Go ahead, go and get what you need in the door to fix all the issues. So that's why we're sitting here today, even looking at someone like Paratici and going, oh, well, what sort of job has he done? He kind of done a good job because we still need centre-backs. But in reality, if we would have brought the centre-backs, we'd be sitting here going, well, we still need centre midfielders or we still need another striker. And that's just the way it is at Tottenham Hotspur. And that shit has got to stop. We need to be more gung-ho about rectifying mistakes that we've made in the market quicker and stop punishing fans and making fans wait so long for these issues to be rectified. You're the ones that wanted to buy this football club. You understand that fans come with it, a loyal following fan base that you've also made money off and that you've used their money to be able to grow this club. So you rectify the problems that you've caused through your own finances. And that's what needs to happen at this club. And until that happens, director of footballs are always going to be called into question. Managers are always going to be called into question. Players like Harry Kane are always going to be called into question. The reality is that needs to change. But what I will say to people is, whether we like Conte, whether you don't like Conte, and whether you like Jose, or whether you don't like Jose, you've got to listen carefully to some of the things they said. A lot of things Jose said people didn't like at the time, but you look back on it now and go, fuck me, how right was he? I wish I would have listened to him at the time. Conte has also highlighted this season about that back line on numerous occasions, which nobody talks about, right? He has also said that this is going to take a few transfer windows to be able to fix and get going and get steered in the right direction. He has also made quotes recently, similar to what Jose Mourinho made, about it being too nice, not having guys that will be nasty if that's what it takes to be able to win. So even though you don't like these guys, you may not like the football, you've got to take into account of some of the things they do say and listen carefully, because we're at a point where the two best teams of this club over the last 3 years, Kane and Son, they've got 2-3 years left best in them at the very, very top of their game, if even. And we still don't have a direction in terms of management, and we still have issues in this squad to be fixed. If we don't get that next managerial appointment right and use the last few years that they've got correctly and build to be able to, direct this ship in a forward trajectory and to be able to compete and make the loss of Kane and Son less effective and less costly than what it will be, this club will only go further and further down the table. It was only so long ago we were 8 in the table, Europa Conference League, and falling.
You can slip quite easily.
If we don't get this next 2 years right, this next 2.5 years right, this club is in massive, massive trouble. But in order for this to affect change, fans cannot be at each other's throat. That's got to stop. There's no point in blaming each other that for whatever cause you want them for, you want them down to protest. You blame them, they ain't getting down in numbers. It's that simple. But someone needs to come up with something that represents some form of change, because no matter who I listen to, whether it's fans at the stadium, whether it's fans that I'm in private contact with, or whether it's all the YouTube channels, everyone wants change on some degree, and everyone can recognize problems in some degree. They may not agree on everything, but everyone agrees there's something not right here.
I completely agree with that.
Getting at each other's throats, because otherwise you will never get the change that you want at this football club.
Spot on,
Actually,
Dave.
on
And
that,
we're reaching.
Dave, I just want to say one thing. Sorry, Jack, to interrupt.
My man.
Like, I go to the protest, right? And because I'm trying to force change. Now, I'm not as stupid as I look or sound. I know that until someone comes along with 5 billion quid, probably, maybe more. The guys don't have to sell, nor should they sell. You know, they own the club outright, or not outright, but majority share. They don't have to sell. Okay, they're making a lot of money, and the club's stable and all that good stuff. So grand. But I protest not because I think we can force them out, but because I think it's the only way I've got of trying to hold them accountable. I know other people will do it different ways. I know other people will withhold the money. But, you know, me, my dad, my kids, we love going to Spurs. We see it as our club. You know, Daniel Levy and Smoking Joe Lewis are custodians of us as a business entity. But the club is no more theirs than it is any of the rest of us. We're all just fans. We're all trying to do our best. We do have to come together, Dave. You're 100% right. I would just say to anyone, if you're concerned about the direction of travel of this football club, if you're worried at all, do try and lend your voice to the protest. Do it in a peaceful way. You know, we're not murderers. We're not all drunkards. We're not, you know, off our nut on crack. We're naturally like this. This is just how we are. We're just angry people. But do come down. We hug people sometimes. We give people scarves to cry into after games. We buy
We have
people
multi-purpose scarves.
Yeah, we buy people drinks that have come over from Brooklyn every now and then. You know, it is what it is. But look, all I want is better for this football club, right? That's all I want. And look, I would love nothing more than for Spurs to succeed organically in the way that Levy is trying to do it. But I just think he broke his own wheel when he sacked, and he broke his own great factory when he let Mitchell go. And then the Poch experiment stalled with the 500 days. And actually, Jack, one thing you said earlier when we were talking about communication and the change in direction as well as a discussion point, let's not forget when Jose went at the end of that season, Daniel Levy did put in his end of season statement a big, basically confessional about how, you know, even though he hadn't planned to, maybe the project of the stadium, it had taken up too much of his attention and he'd taken his eye off the ball. And then, you know, they'd gone away from the roots of the club, and we wanted to get this famous DNA speech, or explanation. He wanted to get back to the ethos of the club, developing young players and all of these things. But in the end of the day, that's what he said. And we were all like, okay, yeah, we can get on board with this. But then after 71 days of looking for a manager, or how many days it was, he then hired Nuno, who wasn't what he said he was looking for.
Yeah.
And then
he hid after that.
Because then people did go Garrity at El Sacco, and he thought, right, I've got to go in and I've got to get another A-lister in, and he went for Conte. Like, I personally just think we need to get an ethos, like we said earlier, a plan. And it needs to start with better recruitment. I hear where you're coming from with Paratici, Dave. But in the end of the day, right, he has got to fix up, and we've got to buy better players that are actually going to get a game in the team. Yeah. And that's where it starts. It doesn't matter whether Bill Nick comes back, like prime Bill Nick in the DeLorean. Doc Brown goes and gets him from 1961 and brings him and a few of the players back. It doesn't matter whether Paul McGrath winds a clock back, and Rio Ferdinand, and, you know, Dave Mackay, and whoever else you want to pick from history. Unless we also buy new modern players that are good enough to take us where we want to go, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter who the manager is or what style we want to play. Personally, I'd like to see a good game of football and us to try and attack. Because, look, win, lose or draw will follow the team, but it would be nice to enjoy it, you know, even enjoy some football matches.
Look, just quickly, following Tottenham doesn't have to be this hard. Football is simple. Buy good players. You know, results, trophies, wins, everything else will come with that. And it's that simple. You can play any system if you have really, really good players. I don't know where Jack's gone. Maybe he's got a knock at the door. But Alex, anything you want to say before we end off, my man?
I mean, I had to have some humble pie on was it Steve Hitchen? I don't think he was at fault. I think again, I don't really want to get into the chairman, but I mean, it was more to do with him. I think You know my thoughts on
Alex, you've said
strategy.
more about the chairman without saying about the chairman than
I
than
know,
anyone. You know
but I
what
don't
mean?
really want to go on about it.
I know,
Phil, to be honest,
I know.
because it's just one of those things, isn't it? Really. But
Well, listen, I said during my rant, yeah.
yeah.
In the end of the day, we can all moan about. We all look. Well, not all. I want Enoch out, but it's like moaning about gravity. I'd love to be able to fly, but I can't fly.
Absolutely.
I haven't got wings. I'd stay
That's
here
the
on the
thing.
earth.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I hear what Still says, but at the same time, you just can't have a go at fans because you know what fans are like in our stadium. They're going there for fun. You know, they're going there to see their friends. You know, they have a little bit of a rant and they go home. Then there's work in the morning.
But
you know
Alex,
what
I can't belittle people for that because in the
I
same
mean?
way that I
Exactly.
wouldn't want someone to say to me or you, you know, or you know, specifically to myself, Phil, you're front line with Enoch out, but yet you've got, you know,
that's
50
exactly what I
season
agree. I
tickets or whatever.
completely agree with
But
you. Yeah,
I go because I support my club. And look,
exactly.
if we don't know what's going on in people's lives, yeah, people could be
Exactly.
having an absolutely shocking time in their lives.
That's
They could
exactly
recover
what I'm
from
saying.
illness. Their parents could be on their last legs, whatever, and this could be one of the last times they get to go to Spurs.
But Phil, this is what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. That's why I can't. I'll have my opinion on people that say cheer for winning against West Ham, and you know I'll say yeah, that's a bit embarrassing. Yeah, but that's banter. That's banter, and that's just me. That's just me. But I will never ever.
Yeah, but Alex, if you just dragged your ass across the desert, right? The first bar you walk into, whatever drink they give you, you're going to down it, right?
Yeah.
I swear to Christ, you'll down it. Dave might not down a beer, actually,
turn
but
that
you're
into
going to
food.
down it. Listen, if you're struggling for any sort of respite from the shocking season we've had, and you slap the happy hammers, the bubble merchants, around the face and send them back to the council tip with their tail between their legs, you're going to be letting off flares, brother. You're going to be singing and dancing.
Phil, I've been there, had the t-shirt, bro. But Phil, that's what holidays are for, bruv. That's where I go to soca places and actually enjoy myself. That is the Jamaican Mr. Box Office done every single time, bruv.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just like that for me. I've had the t-shirt, I've done it already, yeah. But I hear what you're saying. I don't drink though. Mr. Box Office does a nice apple juice, a nice pineapple juice. You know what I mean? Because I like the juices. You know what I mean? That's where Jamaica gets into it. You know what I mean? The Jamaican man comes out of me. You know what I mean? You know how it goes. And if you don't know, get to know. And you know it.
I know his order. I know his halftime order. Everybody, yeah, it's exactly right. He needs the juice.
Exactly.
He needs the juice.
But listen, I'm sorry. Like I said, I have to say this. Like I said,
down below, people.
I'm just digressing what I was going to say. But what I say is that I will never ever have a go at fans because the fact is, Phil's hit the nail on the head. I'm not going to get into the personal side of things. I'm going to try and keep it on the football. But I see he's exactly hit the nail on the head. What he's just said there. You know, you don't know what's going on. You know, people going there for friends and family, and you know maybe it's the only time they see their friends there. You know what I mean? So you shouldn't have a go at people, and as well, I respect people that they can't go and they're doing watch-alongs. But the fact is, we go to games to go and watch games. You know, it's like going to see a kid at a football match. You wouldn't go and watch it on the watch-along, wouldn't you? You'd go to the actual game and watch your kid play. You know what I mean?
Depends how good your kid is.
The way I see it, though, boys, it's like, look, everyone, you know, life is hard. Life is not easy on anybody. You know, you deal with shit from Monday to Friday, and all you look forward to is that Saturday, that 90 minutes of release. You know, that 90 minutes away from absolutely everything else that's going on. And that you know, that's what it is. And, you know, even when Tottenham lose, it adds to that. You're like, for fuck's sake, you know, the world's against me when Tottenham lose, you know. So, look, for me, I also just don't think it's going to achieve anything, pitting fans against one another. I don't think it's going to achieve change or anything like that. That's where I'm at with it. But look,
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. But on what I will say, sorry to interrupt you, David, but I just want to land on this. Yeah, you know what I feel about Prodigy because I was told he's cooking. Well, what is he cooking right now, bruv? Yes. He got Kunjanjuma. Look what's happened. Yeah, we're putting Muro in when he's doing a bloody having testimonies every single week. You know what I mean?
Listen,
I'm sorry,
in
I'm
my
done
opinion,
with it.
Alex, it's another debate for another time. But the way I saw it is he's left the restaurant in a better place than how he's left it. And that's what a Don does. That's what the cook does. That's what the chef does. But everybody get down below. We're past that 2 hour mark. We're past that 2 hour mark. I think we want to start wrapping things up here. At least I got to. I got dinner to cook. I got Mrs. coming over. I got stuff to go. Need to take a piss here, everybody. But 2 hours is well past. Everybody get down to Alex Davies' channel, please. Everybody get down there. Yes,
Hey,
Dave.
David wants to say something, though, Jack. He wants to say something.
Just quickly, tomorrow we're actually going to be opening the show with Paratici. So, Alex, get your ass on here. I think we've got Sim from We Are Done TV as well. Get yourself on here.
Oh, coming on? Sim's coming on.
Let's have a proper debate. Let's have a proper, fair, honest debate about Paratici tomorrow, my man.
Cool. And then also Moondog saying you're way too kind, Dave. I think he's talking about for plugging the Moondog creations earlier. And he says Greaves is my hero. I completely, probably if I wish I could echo that, Moondog. I think Harry Kane is kind of my generation's Jimmy Greaves, and there will never be another. But I guess in a way, sort of Spurs had to move on after Jimmy Greaves. I guess you have to, no matter what. Eventually, you are going to have to look at life without them. And then plenty of people saying Phil P speaks my lingo. Plenty of people were happy to see the Phil P make the debut today. Phil, how do we do today on the debut? Okay.
Listen, I think you guys did well. I'm just happy that me and Mr. Box Office is still on a level, still together after Expressions was shouting me out as the box office. But, I know where my place is. Listen, Tottenham will soon have multiple cinemas, so it's all good. But listen, on the week of St. Patrick's Day, I've just got to big it up for Dave and all the Irish crew in the building. This is an authentic Italian 90s shirt that has basically been with me all these years, yeah? This is mine, and I still fit into it, but won't embarrass myself by putting it on now. And yes, Paddy the Baddie, this is indeed a tip shirt, mate. So if you don't know, get to know. Up tip, up tip. Woo! And listen, last but not least, I don't know if Jacob's still in the building, mate, but I've got our lovely Spurs robe here, so I'm gonna pass it back to you, mate. I don't want you being naked when your missus gets home, so I'll bring that up to the bedroom a bit later on.
I have to just say this as well.
But big up Expressions. Sorry, Alex. I just want to say Expressions, little known content provider in the Spurs YouTube community. Yeah, he was bigging me up. So yeah, I just want to show the big dog some love. So
one box office to
wherever
another.
You are, mate. Get out there. Yeah, give him a follow.
I just want to say this as well. If I know we're closing off now, but if you can raid the Football Heritage show, Sav's show, because I know he started off today as well. I don't always agree with him, but to be honest, he's been good to me. So, and to Dave and to Jack as well, and to Phil as well. So yeah, just see if you can go into the Football Heritage show. He's started his debut show. If you can raid him, and just say that, we sent you over from the Irish Hotspur, that would be great.
I'm putting in the link now, Alex. Good man. Putting in the link.
And actually, it's a good idea, yeah, because Jesus H. Christ, we do all love football, and sometimes it might be nice to talk about other things other than Spurs. Yeah. Because mental health is important, lads. Remember that. Sometimes it does feel like life is beating us in the face, and then Spurs are just kicking us in the Niagaras when we're down. So, Let's choose life. Let's stick together, yeah.
100%. We've got to. It's the only thing you've got. You guys, unfortunately, not unfortunately, sometimes unfortunately, you guys are my only therapy on the weekend and stuff like that. So I love it. But Alex, what's coming up on your channel? What can people expect up on the box office?
As I said before, I'm working on some new content. It's taken a little bit longer, but obviously Alex has got a day job, and then he only pays me by the hour, not the daily, and that's it really. So I can't always I'm not always available, and I come with a big fee as well. So Alex knows that already. You know what I mean? But if you don't know, you need to get to know. It's Alex T. Just see if you really want to know. Mr. Box Office, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment. He doesn't take any prisoners for gladly, because David knows that already, and Jack knows this already. already as well. Yeah, I mean, even though now me and David are now agreeing with lots of stuff now these days, but that's a thing, and that's it, and that's all it is, and that's all it always will be. Box office time, and if you don't know, get to know that, and that's it.
Professor of
Back
Truth
to
and
you, David.
Entertainment
Back
down
to
below,
you, Jack.
everybody.
From everybody, please do get over, check out Alex's channel, hit the subscribe button. Let's get Alex to 1,000. He's been around the community for such a long time. And look, even if you don't agree with him, you know, I guarantee you he makes you smile. So make sure you get over there and smash that subscribe button. In terms of what's coming from us, Jack, tomorrow the Hugo Lloris video.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put, not have to, I'm going to almost in a way kind of get some therapy out on Hugo, put the expose. And the question is could he have been dropped sooner? I'm going to be kind of playing the role of Captain Hindsight and kind of look at maybe how Fraser Forster have done so far and maybe ask you the question whether he probably could have been dropped sooner. And maybe we'd find ourselves 6, maybe 9 points further up the table. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the Hugo on blast, everybody.
And
Jack,
then
can I ask
tomorrow...
you a question? Sorry, Dave, to interrupt.
No,
just to be rude on my first stream. Do we all have to drink brandy while we watch that? Yeah.
Only Sherbert's allowed.
Only Sherbert's okay. But listen, if you do want to drink some French brandy while you watch the video, then obviously other drinks are available. But you know, it might fit in well.
Rosé only.
Or just hire a Porsche for the day and then throw up in the gearbox. You know, just
Look,
you know.
You might want a punching bag and a ball gag so you can't scream. To be honest with you, my man, you know when you're watching that. But also, we are expected to have Sim from We Are Talking TV tomorrow and get Mr. Box Office on because I have a bone to pick with him over Paratici and he's a bone to pick with me. So hopefully plenty of content tomorrow. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hopefully you have enjoyed the show today. Thank you to everybody for the support, for liking, subscribing and super chatting. What we do here is not possible without you guys. We rely on you all the time. So a massive thank you. And last but not least, a massive thank you to Alex and Phil for giving up their time this evening for us. It's been an absolute pleasure, boys. Really enjoyed it. And guys, get over there and raid Savage channel and Irish Hotspur raid in the chat. Good guy. And you know, let's give him the support. We'll see you all soon. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte, I trust. And Paratici has done a better job and left the squad in a better place.
We'll be seeing. Come on, you Spurs.
There we go.